I mean, hold on here now. Arizona reports to training camp July 22nd. The New York Giants report to training camp July 15th. Think about this for a second here. Did you hear what I just said? The New York Giants, July 15th. Veterans, the 22nd. The Washington Commanders report to training camp on July 18th. I mean, we're like 3 weeks away here. Eagles report, obviously, July 22nd. I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous here, man, how close this is. I mean, hey, and by the way, I know it's blazing hot in Philly. My aunt was telling me up in Connecticut, too, how crazy it is. The humidity's going nuts right now. So hot training camps could be right around the corner, especially for the Eagles and the Steelers. But, yeah, look at this. Arizona, July 22nd, the Dallas Cowboys. They report to training camp in Oxnard, California, July 21. Detroit, because they're going to play in that Hall of Fame game, they are reporting on the 16th and the 19th of July. And we gave you the Giants 15th and Washington on the 18th. We are here, man. I mean, let's go. You're like less than 3 weeks away from the start of training camp for the teams that are going to play in the Hall of Fame game. Guys, do me a favor. Please hit the like button. Let's try to get to 150 likes today. Super chats go to the top. We really appreciate you guys so much, man. I cannot thank you guys enough. Okay, so get this. Diamond Dallas Page is going to be with us today at 5 o'clock. Xander's going to join us at 3:30. Gary Cobb will join us at 4:30. Nice job, Xander, moving the pieces around for Big Cells here and for the show. Absolutely great. Diamond Dallas Page will join us today. You guys liked wrestling, right? You guys had a great time with Bill Goldberg. So we are going to get Diamond Dallas Page on with us, and that's going to be at 5 p.m. Eastern time. And again, we're working on Roman Reigns for you guys. I didn't know you guys were enormous wrestling fans. So thank you guys, man. That Dezeen song is the worst song I've ever heard. What's next? The Dual Threat song. Dual Threat. I got to come up with that. I like that idea. So it's why the Cowboys having training camp in California all the time. It's been a tradition, Jason. I have no idea. I think this goes all the way back to Tex Schramm, that they wanted to expand the Dallas Cowboy brand from just being in Dallas. So forever, they were always in California. There was a couple times that Jimmy had it in Texas, but for the majority of the time, it was in California. It was actually at Cal Lutheran. And it used to be up there. And I was in training camp a couple times up there. And I don't know why. The training camp that the Cowboys are at is the old Raider complex. The Raiders used to have their training facility. And when they were in Los Angeles, that was their training camp. And they used to have it there at the Radisson. And that's kind of what the Cowboys have done now. So, I mean, I don't. This goes all the way back to really the beginning of time for the Cowboys. They've always been in California. And in Cal Lutheran, they were there forever. It's really a great environment being there. Then we would scrimmage teams like the Raiders. We would scrimmage the Rams, and we would also scrimmage the Chargers. And what they would do is they would come up to Thousand Oaks. That's where our camp was. And we would have training camp for about 3 or 4 days with the Chargers. And then we would have a game that weekend, and we would do the same thing with the Raiders. So that's I mean, like you'd have 3-day practices, not 3 days, but 3 practices. We'd have two a days with them. This is back in the old school, like the controlled scrimmages that you see today. Like on a Thursday, Friday, or Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, the teams would get in, or we would go somewhere. We would have training camp with those guys, and then we would play an exhibition game on that respected Saturday. Like when we did this with the Raiders, I think they had Bo Jackson and Marcus Allen on the team. And we would scrimmage the Raiders Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And then we played at the Coliseum that Saturday. It was pretty cool. I won't lie. Getting a chance to play in some of those facilities. I played at the Rose Bowl. I played at the Coliseum because of the Cowboys. When we did the Rams, we played the Rams, or we played the Rams at the Rose Bowl, and that was cool. And then we played the Raiders at the Los Angeles Coliseum. So obviously the Rams don't do that anymore, but I think they're doing something in San Diego this year. So yeah, appreciate you guys coming aboard. We're going to get into the topic. So like I said, Dallas Page is going to join us. I can't wait to get DDP on. That's going to be at 5 o'clock. Looking forward to it. Gary Cobb will be with us at 4:30, and then we will talk to Xander at his normal spot there at 3:30. So I got to tell you, let me pull this up here. The brand new rankings for the 2025 coaches. According to PFF, NFL coaches heading into the season, 2025, PFF coaches. I should have had this up here. Got 1,000 things going at once. Coaches, let's see here. Here we go. The top 10 returning coaches to the NFL for 2025. You ready? Here are the rankings. Tell me if you agree or disagree. Number 1, you got Andy Reid. Like Belichick, Tom Brady, and New England Patriots, teams before them, the Kansas City Chiefs are masters of situational football. The Chiefs played in 12 one-score games last season, including playoffs, and won them all. They found a way to reach the Super Bowl for the 3rd straight season. Andy Reid has his entire team prepared situationally. The Chiefs ranked 17th in PFF offensive grades. So think about what I said yesterday to you guys, the difference between Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has the number 1 ranked offense according to Pro Football Focus with talent. The Chiefs are 17th. The Chiefs have the 17th personnel, and that's counting the quarterback in the National Football League. But slotted into 4th in that same category in the 4th quarter and overtime. They simply find ways to step up in games despite their flaws, injuries, and lack of explosiveness. This is the least explosive team that Andy Reid has, but he still finds a way to make it work. That's why Andy Reid and Mahomes are number 1. See what they got number 2. Sean Payton. Oh. Payton inherited a disaster in Denver, unlike Nick. I mean, and some of you guys go, well, he inherited he didn't inherit a bad organization. Okay, there's a difference between having a bad season and inheriting a bad organization. Like that tool LJ yesterday was saying, Nick inherited a 4-win team. He didn't inherit a shitty organization. Denver was a meltdown. Denver was a shitty organization when Sean Payton took over. They had completely broken down. They have been going through ownership changes. I mean, the Bolins sold the team to the dude from Walmart. It's a completely different organization. It's not the same culture that Pat Poland he had there when he was winning NFL championships, and he was having guys like Elway and Peyton Manning in there. It's not the same. Nobody would ever look at this current run of the Broncos and say, that's as good an organization as Philly. But Payton has gone in there, and I'll tell you what, one thing he's done, the defense, don't be shocked if Denver has the number one defensive football team. Okay? I just pointed it out to you, dude. Bet my friend's backside over. He doesn't have a great roster. He doesn't have one. Dan Campbell inherited a shit show too. Absolutely. All these coaches that are ranked where they're ranked right now, all inherited bad organizations. Sean Payton inherited a disaster in 23. His quarterback, Wilson, was clearly unhappy. Team started 1-5. Payton rallied the team behind strong defense to win the final 11 games. Wilson was jettisoned. The Broncos selected Bo Nix in the 24 draft, and they're starting to turn things around in Denver. And they are. That's because of Sean Payton. By the way, supers go to the top. Please hit the like button. Here you go here. Who's third? Of course it's Sean McVay. Why wouldn't it be? McVay isn't yet 40. Put that in your hat. He's not 40. And he's entering his 9th season as the Rams head coach. Los Angeles has made the postseason in 6 of his 8 seasons with him at the helm, including a Super Bowl 56 victory over the Bengals. The Rams were the closest team to upending the Eagles in the postseason before their Super Bowl win this past February. He is a better coach. He actually has a job. McVay is known as an offensive mastermind, but his adjustments to his rushing attack may be the most impressive feat yet. McVay is a Shanahan disciple, which makes his influent offside zone run schemes from 17 to 22 insane. The Rams ranked second in outside zone rate over the past 2 seasons in the NFL. However, the rank just 15th in that category while leading the NFL in usage of run rate. His newly found downhill approach has allowed the Rams to sustain a balanced attack and one of the Super Bowl contenders for 2025. This guy's younger than Sirianni. I mean, I think he's got 8 division titles. 8 division titles. Taking 2 different quarterbacks to a Super Bowl. How you like that one? He's taken 2 different dudes to the Super Bowl. Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford. I mean, isn't that coaching? Yeah, get this. You want to know how dumb that is? And Todd Bowles beats you every time. Todd Bowles owns you. That shit doesn't roll like that. Okay? That doesn't roll like that. Todd Bowles owns you. Owns. Ownership. Give me Frank Reich's list. Nick Widiani, number 1. How you doing? So let's take a look after number 3. Surely Sirianni's got to be 4. No, it's John Harbaugh. Harbaugh perpetually has Baltimore contending for championship, but has not won a champion since the 2012 season. The Ravens have endured only 2 losing seasons since he took over in 2008. Baltimore's consistency is incredibly impressive, considering the team hasn't lost a game by more than 1 score. Listen to this. The Ravens haven't lost a game by more than 1 score since week 18 of 2022. They are never out of games. They're always contending and competing. That's incredible. At the center of Harbaugh's success is Lamar Jackson and his development. Coming off an injury-plagued 22 in which he earned just a 72 passer rating, Jackson has the team where they now are at a crossroads since Todd Monken has taken over and become the offensive coordinator in 23. Jackson has become unstoppable in forcing the National Football League to take notice. leading the NFL with 95-1 PFF overall grading. As long as Harbaugh and Jackson are in the building, the Ravens are true contenders to win the AFC each and every single year. You hear that, man? Wow, way to go, John Harbaugh. So he's number 4. Sirianni's got to be top 5 with that 758 win percentage of his. Oh, no, it's Mike Tomlin. All right. Despite recent criticism about the lack of playoff success, it's 10 years. I happen to be people that are on that side of that. I mean, I'll give you this. 10 years, you haven't won a playoff game? Yeah. I mean, they're winning games with Mason Rudolph. So, okay. So surely Sirianni's number 6. Oh, no, wait. He's not. By the way, this ain't my list. This is PFF's list. I didn't put this together. Across 21 years as a head coach at the college and NFL levels, Jim Harbaugh has endured just 3 losing seasons. 2007 and 08 at Stanford, and a COVID-shortened 2020 year at Michigan. His 12 Niners outfit was mere 5 yards short of defeating his brother in the Super Bowl. He has won a national championship at Michigan and has seemingly turned around the Chargers' previously morbid culture. The primary appeal of Harbaugh, Jim, taking over the Charger job was Justin Herbert and Greg Roman. They have recaptured the magic of Herbert's abilities. In just the first year, Herbert set career-high seasons in passer ratings, yards per attempt, and big rate throws, leading the National Football League. That's why I say the Chargers are going to be one of your surprise teams, because I do think that guy's a great coach. I absolutely do think he is. Okay. So Sirianni's got to be 7th. No, it's Kyle Shanahan. Oh, my God. Shanahan is still one of the greatest offensive minds and best head coaches in the NFL. After appearing in their second Super Bowl in 5 years in 23, the Niners took a big step back last season. However, they started 5-4 before losing 7 of their last 8 games. Those shortcomings came more to do with injuries, and star players' lack of run defense also stymied the football team's success. Despite their difficulties, the 49ers still ranked 9th in grades last year across the board with this offensive football team. Brandon Ayuk, Trent Williams, Christian McCaffrey, and Brock Purdy will all be major factors in this season coming up with the San Francisco 49ers. Well, damn, where's Nick? Oh, wait, here he is. PFF has him 8th. Let's see what they say about Nick Sirianni. Sirianni is often the target of criticism when the Eagles lose, but credit needs to be given when it's due. He's an outstanding 48-20 in the regular season as the Eagles head coach and has made it to the playoffs in each of his 4 years. The Eagles emphatically proved that they were the best team in football last season. They were the NFL's highest graded team with just losing one game after week 4. Philadelphia's commitment to the run in 24 was the biggest adjustment from the confounding 23. The offense ranked just 13th in run play percentages in 2023, but led the NFL with a 51.2 clip last season. That means that by far they led the NFL in rushing attempts 2-1 to the next team. Gee, I wonder why. Because the quarterback was turning the ball over and the running back was having an historic year. The Eagles are the only team to run the ball more than throw it. Oh, my God. Hey, think of that. That's like Army. The Eagles were the only team to run the ball more than throw it. Of course, it helps when you have Barkley, who racked up 2,500 rushing yards last year, including the postseason. Nick Sirianni and the Eagles committed to old school style of football, and it paid off. Look at that. Take the ball out of the quarterback's hand, give it to Barkley. You throw the ball more, you run the ball more than you throw it. There you have it. That's what I'm talking about. That's common sense right there, right? You go to your bell cow. Damn. Nick Sirianni's 8th? How could he be 8th? They got Kyle Shanahan ranked out of them. Well, it's because those guys have jobs. Jim Harbaugh is 6th. Tomlin is 5th. He'll never get up there. He'll never get up. If he wins 2, I don't know. I don't know if he'll ever gets up there because, get this, Brett Veach, Kansas City, doesn't overshine Andy. I don't even know who the GM in Denver is. Les Snead and Kevin Demoff are good, but Sean McVay's the face of that franchise. I mean, Eric DeCosta's a great GM, but John Harbaugh's the dude. Who's the GM in Pittsburgh? Who's the GM in Los Angeles with the Chargers? I don't know. John Lynch, maybe a little bit there. Then you got Sirianni and Howie. There you have it. I mean, right. Well, see, when you are at the let me put this in the right way here with Nick. I'll tell you why Nick's in that position where he's not second. And he should be with that win percentage and what he's accomplished. I'll tell you why he's not. Because every year, he doesn't pick the assistant coaches to replace the guys they fire or the guys that they hire. Whoever they bring in, that it has to work. Because I'll tell you why. If Nick Sirianni, you're going to give him credit for hiring Kellen Moore, then you also have to criticize him for hiring Sean Desai or Brian Johnson. Correct? And he didn't. He didn't. The reason he kept his job, and this goes to what Xander says. Here's why he keeps his job. He doesn't make an issue of it when coaches get replaced or coaches move on. It's actually smart. Most coaches today, like, here, look, I'll give you a great example here. You're not going to go into Andy Reid's office if you're Brett Veach and you're going to tell him that, hey, listen, since we lost the Super Bowl, I want you to fire Steve Spagnuolo. Like they made Kyle Shanahan fire Steve Wilkes after they lost the Super Bowl. You're not doing that to Andy Reid. Andy Reid would tell you, get the hell out of my office. I make the hires and fires for my coaching staff. Okay? Andy runs the ship there. You're not going to tell Sean Payton who to hire and fire. You're not going to tell Sean McVay who to hire and fire. You're surely not going to tell John Harbaugh. And you're surely not telling Mike Tomlin. You're not telling Jim Harbaugh. Shanahan, you did. And the rest of these guys, here, Dan Campbell, 9th. Brad Holmes is going to tell him who to hire and who to fire. Same with Kevin Stefanski. Those guys are all good coaches, but they don't control their own destiny. They're not the head of their kingdom. How many people in here? Yes, they are. And they have. They told them to fucking fire Desai. And they told them to fire Brian Johnson. Did they not? Brian Johnson had the 8th ranked offense in football. But they needed a scapegoat. And he didn't hire those guys. He didn't hire them. You're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. Okay? Get this. See this dickhead? You know who my sources are? 2 teammates of mine in Pittsburgh and how Mike Tomlin runs his team. Mike Tomlin told me to hire Alfredo Roberts, the tight end coach in Pittsburgh. I told you the story. And also Carl Dunbar. They told me how they were hired. Mike Tomlin picks the phone up, right? He calls Alfredo Roberts. He says, how'd you like to be the tight end coach in Pittsburgh? He brings him up. They go out to dinner. They go around the facility, and they talk. And then after he makes his call, he calls the owner, Dan Rooney, and tells Dan Rooney, I'm hiring him. Dan Rooney signs off on it, and it's all good. They do their background checks just like that. That's how they're hired. By the way, who do you think hired Clint Hurt? Who do you think hired Clint Hurt? Who hired the D-line coach for the Eagles? Who do you think hired him? I know who hired him. Who hired him? Who hired Clint Hurt? Vic Fangio did, not Nick. Not Vic or Nick. Vic did. And you know what they did? Howie gave complete trust to Vic Fangio and bring it. Bobby King was hired by Vic through John Pagano. Sirianni has no say on his coaching staff. When are you going to learn that? Man, oh man, you'll believe anything. By the way, that's why he doesn't get the same respect those other guys get. And he should. I agree with what Xander said. He's a modern day dude that knows how to deal with front offices and analytics. That's becoming more evident when you're seeing the hires that are going across the NFL today. By the way, this is not for debate. Okay? This is not. Because I know the inner workings of these people, and I know how the Steelers, the Ravens, the Packers. Who do you think hires the Packers? Matt LaFleur hires them guys. Matt LaFleur is a dude that goes out and looks for quality coaches and assistant coaches. Totally. I mean, right? Get this. What does Don's... who are you talking about? Kevin Stefanski? We did take a team to the playoffs with Joe Flacco. I don't know. This is a complete lie. He chose Patullo. No question. That's not true. Absolutely not true. Who hired Vic Fangio? Who do you think hired Vic Fangio? Arthur, do you think that Nick Sirianni hired Vic Fangio? Yes or no? By the way, he wasn't hired. Who's my source? Clint Hurt. I know how Clint was hired. Clint was hired by Howie and Vic with Nick's blessing that whoever they wanted, they could bring in because Howie already had signed off on it. I know exactly how Jeff Stoutland was hired. Jeff Stoutland was hired from the general manager, the head coach, which was Chip. He did not give permission. That's an absolute lie. That's not how Clint Hurt didn't interview with Nick first. He interviewed with Vic. It's not true. Who told you that? Who told you that? That he was hired by Nick? That is not true. It's not true. I know how he got the job from Seattle. New Orleans, Detroit, Houston were interested in Clint Hurt going and being a D-line coach. By the way, that's how, Tracy Rocker got the job? I think either in Tennessee or in Houston. Tracy Rocker, the former D-line coach, because Clint Hurt put a word in for him because he knows he's a quality guy. Nick Sirianni didn't fire Tracy Rocker. He was let go by the GM. And Tracy's up in Tennessee now because Clint put a word in for him. Simple. Dude, I got pictures and I have all the receipts I need. I don't need to prove shit to you. You guys see the people that come on here. I know how it works. Nick Sirianni does not pick his coaching staff. And you know how they do it? They load the deck on them. They say, pick a guy from these 10 coaches that they've already approved. That's loading the room. Now, to be candid, that's why he's not higher up on that list, and that's why he doesn't make the most. I think he's doing a good job. I really do. I think he's doing a heck of a job. Because you know why? He's absolutely, you got to do a little ass kissing to keep your job in the NFL, especially when you have an ultimate turd like you did in 23. And then at the beginning of last year, you have to do an ultimate job of ass kissing. Okay? I mean, get this. Look at M. Reyes. He's the greatest coach in Eagle history. By far not. He's not better than Vermeil and Andy Reid. He's not better than those guys. You would never hire Nick Sirianni to build a football team. Like that dickhead LJ said, he took over a 4-win team. He didn't take over a shitty organization. There's a difference when you go to Cincinnati and Jacksonville or the Jets. Those are shitty organizations who have horrific years for decades. The Eagles don't do that. They had a bad year in Doug's final season. That's it. Had a bad year. You didn't take over an organization that was an awful organization. That's not true. You had the best GM in the building and an owner who's spending money. Nick didn't take over a shitty organization. He took over a team that had a bad year. And it happens to everybody, including Andy Reid, including Don Shula. Sirianni is Jim Lee Howe. He's talking about the former New York Giant guy. Okay? Looking at PFF. By the way, this ain't my ratings. Where would I put Nick? Here, I'll use their 10. I'll use their 10 guys. Who would I put number 1? Let's see here. I put Andy Reid. I'll go Andy Reid, number 1. Number 2. I'm going to put John Harbaugh there. I got Andy Reid, John Harbaugh. Then I would put third. I would put Sean McVay. Four, personally, I think Sean Payton's overrated. I think Mike Tomlin has not done a job. I think Mike Tomlin has not done a job with the personnel department in replacing the quarterback. By your logic, Phil Jackson is not a great coach because he didn't build or draft the Bulls or Lakers. That's not a good take. Again, you're talking about being a great coach or a guy to build an organization. If you heard me, I said this, Anthony, and I appreciate the super. Thank you. I would not take Nick Sirianni to build my culture or my team. And I would not take Phil Jackson to build my team either. He tried that in New York, and what happened? Anthony, talk to me about building a team in New York. What happened to Phil Jackson when he was put in charge of building a basketball team in New York? Can you help us out? I'll wait. Or how about when Jordan had to build a team and try to build a champion team in Carolina with the Charlotte Hornets? Help me out. How'd that go? Anthony, how did Phil do in building a team in New York with the Knicks when he was put in total charge as the president of basketball operations and came to drafting everybody there to build that team? How did they do? Okay, so my take was this. I would not have Phil Jackson build my team. So are you saying you're comparing Nick to Phil Jackson? A guy that he's never going to build a team. He's never going to build a team. Nick Sirianni is not going to sit in a draft room and know heads or tails on a player. You agree with that? The same as Phil. Anthony, think of this. Jerry Krause was the guy who built the Bulls. It wasn't Phil Jackson. He's the guy that found Rodman. He's the guy that ended up finding Dennis or trading for Dennis Rodman. He's the guy that found Luke Longley. He's the guy that found Tony Kukoc. He's the guy that found Scottie Pippen. They had Doug Collins in there, right? They had Doug Collins, and they couldn't get the right guy to move the sticks. So, as I said again, the take is great. You would never have Phil Jackson build a basketball team. You know why? Because he can't. And he never has. Let's see if he changes the room here a little. Yes, but I think Nick's a good coach and potential to be great. Anthony, my problem, again, with Nick is that he doesn't get to control his own destiny. Like, whoever they hire as an assistant, he doesn't handpick and get control of his own failure or successes. That's my problem. And again, I might have to be a guy that has to do this. Hey, Sills, that's the new way. You know, Anthony, how about this one? You and me come to this one. You tell me, Anthony, on this. Do you think today's owners and today's general managers, Anthony's he's a great viewer here. Do you think, Anthony, that today's front offices want more coaches like Nick that don't have the power, like, say, a Sean Payton or Andy Reid or Mike Tomlin or some of these other guys have? That wouldn't you say that they'd rather have a guy that they can control more, right, than have to sit there and give them total autonomy? That is true. He's dependent on Howie. That's not having control of your own destiny. That's good and bad in a way. So I'm asking you, some of you guys in here are great. I appreciate you guys. Really do. Please hit the like button. So would you say, Anthony, and some of you other guys that are following along here, some aren't, and I don't really care about having a conversation with them any longer. Going to take time for Nick to get say in personnel. He's never going to have say in personnel. But by the way, dude, why would he want to when you got a guy who's getting it right? Took Andy 20 years before he built a Super Bowl winner. Nick is a long-term guy. That might well be that it's going to take him more time. He's not going to have say in personnel ever. You know why? Jalen Reagor. Howie Roseman is never going to do this. I am never going to listen to another coach again when it comes to superseding my opinion on taking a player or not taking a player. I am not doing that. If that player fails, it'll be because my department failed. I think Jalen Reagor did more for the personnel turnaround in Philly than any other player that you have ever drafted. Do you guys agree with that? That Jalen Reagor did more than any other player drafted in Eagle history, because the general manager is not going down that lane anymore. You even hear Nick say it, how he's got final say. Okay? How he's got final say on free agents, trades. He doesn't go to Nick and tell him what he's doing. He tells him, this is what we're doing. Yes, the front office wants all the control. New trend. I think it is a new NFL trend. I do. I think that's a new NFL trend. Hit the like button, guys. Sills, I think of Nick like Ronnie Turcotte. If you give him a thoroughbred horse, he seems to know. And by the way, I'm assuming that you're talking Secretariat here. He seems to know what to do. Turcotte didn't train, and Nick doesn't draft. Ronnie Turcotte was the jockey on Secretariat. They put the right guy on the horse, and he led the horse to greatness, obviously. And I believe that's who you're talking about. Ronnie Turcotte was the jockey on Secretariat. All 3 stakes races, he broke the track record that still stands today in the Preakness, Belmont, and Kentucky Derby. That's what he did. That's how great a jockey and how great a horse that horse was. I don't understand it either. You're talking 50 years removed from that win, 50 plus years now removed from that win, and you still can't break those track records with modern technology. You're talking about one-of-a-kind animal, one-of-a-kind athlete. I've never called an animal an athlete, but he is. It's the greatest feat of all time. And you would think with technology, I mean, Usain Bolt runs faster than they did in 1973. Right? You can't come anywhere near that. I mean, it's insane. Insane. You'll never see anything like that ever in your lives again. Never see anything like that. It's one of the greatest sports moments of all time. You should watch it on YouTube. How that horse destroys Sham in the Belmont Stakes by 31 lengths. Incredible. I watched it as a kid. If you watch it, you'll cry because of how dominant. I mean, you enjoy dominance. Put that YouTube on, and you hear Chick saying, the announcer, he's moving like a machine, and it was. It's one of the greatest and most unreal things you'll ever see. It's one of the greatest sports things I've ever witnessed, watching it on TV. Nicholas said he stood up and started crying because he couldn't believe it. And Jack had just won the Masters. I mean, there's moments in history. That's one of them. You got to watch it. You enjoy greatness and perfection. That horse was perfection. That's what every athlete and every human being that participates in sports tries to achieve, is that. It's the only thing I've ever seen perfect. I've never seen another athlete like that. Baseball, basketball, football, hockey. I mean, you strive for that. If you have a vision of perfection, that's what that horse was. That moment in sports is watching that. You're just watching something that's perfect. Like you try to play the perfect game. Okay? You try to have the perfect tackle. You try to have the perfect at bat. Okay? Guys, let's get the likes up. I appreciate you guys. We're going to have Diamond Dallas Page with us at 5. Xander's going to join us at 3. Again, I'll talk one more time here about this thing here in this list. By the way, not to put everything in context, these are all great coaches. Andy Reid, Sean Payton, Sean McVay, John Harbaugh, Mike Tomlin, Jim Harbaugh, Shanahan, Sirianni, Campbell. Look at the shit show Dan Campbell has turned around in Detroit. You'll have to excuse me, but the last thing that I ever remember in Detroit ever being good football-wise, I'm trying to figure out when. During the 90s? Thoughts on Terry McLaurin still not signed? I think he's got a right to hang on. I do. I think he has. Okay. I think he totally does. He's got a total right. He's a number one. And if you want to continue the success of that player, there is no doubt. Guys, hit the like button. All right. Let's move on. I want to talk Jaylen Carter here. And the greatness of Jaylen Carter. And the Eagles are showing it to you right now. Remember what we said on draft night? This guy will be the next Jerome Brown. He's got every single quality of being the next Jerome Brown. Does he not? And I said that draft night that guy has the ability to be the next guy and to be a dog that barks and be that guy. Thank you, Stevie. Thank you. I love you, baby. He's got the ability to be that guy. Okay? We said it on draft night that we believe that they got a guy who could become the next Jerome Brown. Remember? That was our initial comment. By the way, all you have to do is go back and you have to just see our comments about when they drafted Jaylen Carter. He was one of our 5 sandbox guys that particular year in the draft. Well, I'm going to show you what they're doing right now for this guy. He is a generational player. Okay? You know how we know this? Look at what the Eagles are doing right now. The Eagles are getting rid of players. They're dumping players right now and getting rid of players, quality players. 26 million, 20 million. Gardner Johnson, Slay, because they're paying one guy. That's how much faith they have in this player. They are going to sacrifice stepping back in talent this coming year defensively because of that one player. That, to me, is a sign of greatness. That's a sign of greatness. You're going to take apart the number one ranked defense for one man. Do you understand that? You're taking apart the number one defense, almost a historic defense, apart for one player. One player. You're taking apart a defense. To take a step back, Pat, I'm not saying you're wrong. Because they feel that way. It's worth it. Same with you, Leon. They are going to sacrifice. They are going to sacrifice the number one ranked defense to make sure that they pay Jaylen Carter. That's great respect. Just absolutely phenomenal on what they're doing. Okay. I mean, you talk about building a unit around a guy. You talk about building a team around a guy. The Eagles are going to spend top dollar at that respected position to build that football team around their centerpiece in Jaylen Carter. He's going to be the centerpiece of the Philadelphia Eagles defense for the next 10 years. They may take a step back, and they have, talent-wise. Not dramatic, because it's youth and unknowns. We'll get into that here in a minute because I wrote the names down. It's kind of a who's who list and a what have you done for me lately list. But there's one thing I can tell you. Jaylen Carter has impressed the Eagles so much that this is what's hurting Jordan Davis. They guys were almost drafted right around the same number. They were expecting Jordan Davis to be that guy. Well, he's not. He's not. Sills, I'm not sure you can have the number one ranked defense without Jaylen Carter. I think that, again. Well, let me ask you this, Bob. Do you think the Rams ever had the number one ranked defense with Aaron Donald? Which they never have. They never had the number one ranked defense. But they had the number one game record in the game for about 10 years. They've never had it. Okay? I mean, Aaron Donald never played on the number one ranked defense. Having the number one defense has a lot to do with pass rush, run stoppers, great corners. Okay? I mean, end of the day, they were hoping Jordan Davis was this guy. He's never been, and he never will be. Okay? Aaron Donald deserved this pay, though, Sills. No one was Aaron Donald. Well, Aaron Donald is arguably the best defensive tackle that we've seen probably since Warren Sapp, correct? Well, I mean, somebody made a point, I think it was Bob, made the point that the Eagles could not have the number one defensive football team if Carter's not on the team. Well, when you cut loose the rest of those players, the chances of the Eagles having the number one defense is slim to none. And because you have Carter on it, that doesn't mean you're going to have a great defense. That's Dallas about Michael Parsons. That means you have a great player on your defense. That doesn't mean you have a great unit. As I've told you before, last year the Philadelphia Eagles did not have a top three player except for linebacker, defensive tackle on your defensive unit. Not one, except for two. But the unit was exceptional. You win football games with units, not just one or two players. Like, how about this? You think Zach Bond gets that $17 million contract if Carter's not in front of him and that Bond can play the way he played? That's a unit. That's a unit. Or how about the way they played in the secondary? Right? It all gets connected. Like an umbilical cord. It all gets connected. You can have great players on your football team. That doesn't mean you have a great unit. Let me show you something here. I'm going to make a point to you. I was going to save this one. What do you think makes the Eagles different than every other organization in football. Guys, please hit the like button. What do you think? I got to pull this up. Let me go over here. What do you think makes them an exceptional roster? And what Howie's done? What would you say? I did some homework on this. Our defense last year was like 49ers defense in 81. No big names other than Ronnie Lott. Correct. Like Carlton Williamson and all them dudes, Keena Turner, that played on that team. It's a great take. Okay, brotherhood. Here, what do you think makes the roster of the Eagles? What do you think makes them great? I wrote this down here. Let me pull this up. And I got these teams here. Teams that I think are going to break out this season. And teams that I think that have had really good off seasons. What's the one thing you think? Look at Chicago and what they've done this offseason. I think they've had a great offseason, Chicago. But look at what they've done. They've piecemealed trying to fix the O-line. They got a trade from the Rams. They got a trade from Kansas City. They brought another guy in. They drafted a guy, right? Look at the Eagle O-line. Mulata homegrown. Landon homegrown. Cam homegrown. Lane homegrown. Can you name another organization in football in the last 15 years that have drafted homegrown O-linemen? Look at the D-line. Moro Jomo, Jaylen Carter, Jordan Davis. These guys are all homegrown in the fronts. They're not mercenaries. The only position that you have that's a mercenary position on the Eagles in the fronts is the right guard. An occasional tackle, D-tackle. But the rest of them are homegrown. And that's all under the notion that Steen will win the job, and I don't think he will because he's not good enough. But that is a massive player development. Dude, organizations, when they go out trying to do and replicate, you know why they can't replicate what the Eagles do? Is because they homegrown these guys. Every guy in the O-line, you could have a 7th rounder or the 5th pick. Mine's like the 5th pick, right? Look at the line. 5th pick, 1st round, 7th round, 2nd round, 2nd round, whatever. Maybe 3rd round. That's outstanding. The defensive line, too. The last couple of years that I've been covering your team has been, look at the fronts. Everything is in the draft in homegrown. There's such a huge advantage to being homegrown. Sills, that homegrown talent benefits from having the perfect O-line coach. Yeah, listen, Bob, you can have the greatest O-line coach if you don't get people that are talented in there. I don't give a shit what kind of coach he is. You've got to have an ability to be able to have great talent in the building. You're right. There are so many advantages to that. Having guys you drafted, having guys you've had in the building since the first day they were NFL players, and not having a ton of mercenaries. It's fucking crazy great. The D-line and O-line is what I'm talking about. You win would you not agree? A year ago, your front seven on defense and your O-line were the catalyst in winning that Super Bowl. Would you not agree? Hey, listen, you can have a $50 million quarterback, but if you've got a 2-cent O-line, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. I don't care what talent you have. It's incredible. It comes down to three things: youth development and great assistant coaches. The position coaches that are in the building now might be their best staff that they have ever had. You know what really shocked me? I can't believe more people didn't come for Bobby King, the DB coach, and the defensive line coach. You guys not losing those guys? Think about this. The D-line coach, you think Clint Hurt had a major factor in the success of the defense? I do. You think Bobby King helped turn around a pathetic linebacking core from 23 to 24? Completely. How about Christian Parker in the secondary? And the job that he did in the secondary with the young guys. Every single one of those coaches should get a job for being a coordinator. They don't get enough praise for the job that they've done. But then again, the defensive coordinator doesn't throw a lot of praise out. One thing you love about Vic Fangio, and this is why he's not a good head coach, is because this guy, again, tells it like it is. He's not going to play a guy if that guy's drafted high versus a guy who's just because an organization wants to do that. You're not going to walk in his fucking room and tell him you got to play this guy. That's not going to work. All of you wanted, you thought Devin White was going to be a superstar. Okay? Turned out to be a bum. Nobody knew that Oren, by the way, the Oren Burks sign was brilliant too. This is a great defensive staff. Only loss I see is back coach that went to Baltimore, then believe elsewhere. I think Denard Wilson is the DC in Tennessee. Does that make sense? Sills, how valuable is the Georgia boys' connection on defense? And does that include Azeez giving them another advantage? I get asked this question a lot. Playing with guys that you played with at Georgia. Abe, I think it's got more to do with you being drafted and you build a cohesiveness together because what I was just talking about, being homegrown. Now, knowing characteristics of former players because you've played with them, knowing what their likes are and their likes aren't, and knowing who to talk to, who you can't talk to. I think there's something to that. You know, you play with somebody for so many years. You know, you come from the same culture. And sometimes, I'll tell you what too, Abe. Azeez Ojulari, let me ask you this. Do you think he's forgotten a little bit, having been with the Giants, what a winning environment was? And then when he comes to Philly, the Georgia guys remind him of where he came from, being a Georgia player and now being a Philadelphia Eagle. I think sometimes you forget when you go to losing environments in the pros. I did. You show up at Tampa Bay, and they haven't won shit like ever. And you come from a place that won one or lost one regular season game in 3 years. It's a completely different environment. I mean, it's night and day when you have that. Sills, Fangio is the drill sergeant from Full Metal Jacket. It's a great analogy. I thought old school doesn't work. Kimberly, that's old school. Isn't that old school coaching? Right? That's old school. Losing is so detrimental. It is. It's like a virus. I mean, obviously, it is. It's a virus. Losing is a virus. Mixing old and new school. That's where I think Bobby King and Clint Hurt come in. I think those guys all do. Thinks it works with youth. I do too. I don't think it works with guys like Xavier Howard or guys like Jalen Ramsey. I don't think it does. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it. All right. So again, I gotta give kudos. Sorry, guys. I gotta give kudos to the Eagles for doing one thing. They are clearing out money, okay, for Jaylen Carter. They are clearing money out for him, and they are making it happen. They took apart the number 1 ranked defense for him. Do you understand that? And I'm not saying they're wrong. I am not saying they're wrong. But they took the number 1 ranked defense. They let loose. I'll tell you this. How about this? Let's put this out there. If you didn't have to play Jaylen Carter, do you think they would have let loose of Milton Williams and Josh Sweat? I don't. They may have signed him to a shorter term. They may have signed him to shorter term deals. Steve! They may have signed him to shorter term deals. Or maybe they would have lost one of them. But they wouldn't have lost both of them. They would have kept probably Sweat. Or maybe Milton. Okay? They're not losing both of them. Let's see here. It is so interesting to me that you simultaneously are saying, like, wow, this was a hard decision, but also a good one that you're giving a definitive answer on. Well, bro, they've got to make tough decisions. Hey, David, you can't keep them all, like you say to me. Right? Money is a factor, David, in building a team. Plain and simple. It's not about keeping the best guys. It's about keeping the most important guys. And you've got to make decisions. Money, it starts first, obviously, with talent. Is the guy good enough? Here, let me ask you this. Why haven't they addressed Reed Blankenship? Why haven't they addressed Reed Blankenship? Why? Could be what? Could be waiting to see it play out. Okay. That's not terrible, Forrest. That's not terrible. Reed Blankenship is not a $10 million a year player. I'm sorry. He is not. He's a product of the dudes he's playing in the middle of. That same guy sucked out loud in 23. I saw him when he had shitty corner play and shitty safety play next to him, how he looked. He looked, one game he looked decent. Another game he looked great. Another game he looked terrible. He's a product of the environment around him. You guys were trying to tell me that Gardner Johnson, and I said this the other day to you, Gardner Johnson was the best safety you had a year ago, not Reed Blankenship. You fucking crazy? Nobody in their mind thinks that. Reed's a better player. Okay? Nobody. By the way, Reed wasn't on the team, or excuse me, CJ wasn't on the team in 23 when he didn't have good safety play next to him. He looked like shit. If that guy doesn't have good corner play and a good player next to him, I don't think that guy's that good a player. I think what they did a year ago as a tandem, because Gardner Johnson was back there making plays, I think that helped him a lot. And I think the corner and I think the slot played. Adam Cooper played a factor. I mean, Reed Blankenship, $10 million? Fuck, I could sign Justin Simmons and get the same shit out of him. Pay him $6 million. Why would I pay a guy $10 million, overpay him, when I could get Justin Simmons to do the same job and put him there? And then, on top of that, you drafted a safety in the second round. So are you drafting Makuba to take over for Gardner Johnson? Well, then why is Vic talking about playing DeJean and base at safety? Which is it? Reed Blankenship's a $7 million a year guy to me. I'm all right with that. The way the league and the way the money is today, 10 north of that. I heard John McMullen say $15 million. I'm like, $15 million? You think that guy's Derwin James? I don't. That guy's Derwin James. Really? Or Xavier McKinney. You think that guy's as good as those guys? Not me. I don't see it. I've played with great safeties, and I know great safeties like Ed Reed. That ain't it. He's good. Don't get me wrong. He's not bad. But that guy is no $15 million a year guy. Paying that guy 15. Let me say this to you. Well, if you pay him 15, who you not re-signing? N'Kobe or Nolan? Huh? Eagles are the best. Elite EA. Yeah. Woo! Woo! And Wes. Woo! Wee! Woo! Wee! Little cheerleader. Thank you for the cheerleader super, dude. Woo! Woo! My Eagles are the best. I ever talk shit about them again, Chills. Don't ever have a conversation about anything about my boys. Just remember, let's freaking go. Talk about my guys. This guy here, seriously, man, he should be on a cartoon channel. RC3, M. Reyes, and a couple other out of you losers sit there and have the L-Take show. Let's go, Birds. We're the best until otherwise noticed or something. I don't know. Yeah, that's right. Get this guy. Yeah, that's right, dude. Jay Brown triggers me. You trigger me to take a number 2, maybe, but that's about it, kid. Hey, sorry about that. Hey, Jay Brown, you triggered me to take a number 2. Wait a minute. Yeah. Jay Brown. Yeah, I feel a number 2 coming on. So from now on, if you guys know I have a code room, if I'm going to take a number 2, it's going to go, hey, listen, guys, I'm sorry. I got to take a timeout and take a Jay Brown. How you doing? Blueprint. Evaluate and weed out generational talent. I like you, Kimberly. Thank you guys for the supers. They're great. Jake Elliott will be the MVP. Eagles going 17-0. Kickers are not football players, dog. Kickers are golfers. Okay? Remember that. Kickers are golfers. They're not football players. We don't talk about kickers here. I don't give a shit about kickers. Jake the kicker. That's his new name. Jake the kicker. Okay. I wonder if that guy has a bounce back year. Jake the kicker. That's got to be M. Reyes' favorite Eagle. Is Jake the kicker. About right. M. Reyes takes are like that's actually not funny, but it is. Holy cow. M. Reyes' takes are like Trump's Israel-Iran peace deal. Holy cow. I saw the president drop an F-bomb today. I thought that was awful entertaining. Yeah. My wife and I both said, yeah, really, do you know how long that thing's going to last? It'll last about 5 seconds, and it did. Those guys have been fighting with stones. I mean, they've been throwing stones and using slingshots at each other. And you actually really thought that thing was going to be a peace agreement. Yeah, okay. Is it Amelia, right? Didn't David get hit in the head with or didn't he use a slingshot? Right? I mean, they've been fighting forever. Give me a break. Hit the like button. Xander's going to join us at the bottom of the hour. Top of the 5 o'clock hour, we're going to have Diamond Dallas Page. We're looking forward to that. Also, Gary Cobb at 4:30. You want to hit it up? We appreciate you guys. Let's see here. Right? I mean, okay. So I got another topic here. I love that PFF head coach one. I thought that was great. All right. 2 Eagles expected to have huge roles in 2025 will be who? Two Eagles. I wrote down 2 Eagles that will have huge roles this year. Who are they? Jordan Donut Davis and Ringo. Not bad. That's a good one. Okay. Cooper and AJ. Okay. Devontae Smith. Yeah. JD's got more of a chance of levitating than elevating. He's just going to lay on the ground. I think he could just lift his donut ass off the ground. Try to, elevate off the ground. Having eaten all his Cheerios and all of his donuts. Donuts Davis. Elevate. I don't know. Okay, I wrote these 2 dudes down. My 2 guys who will have a huge role, if you're going to be successful this year, are going to be Moro Ojomo and Jalix Hunt. And here's why. Dude, Moro Ojomo's got a big role to fill. I mean, he's got a big role to fill in filling Milton Williams and his role of being able to stay on the field. I don't believe he could play the run. And I think Ty Robinson's actually going to beat that guy out. However, he's going to get the chance to start. And he's plugged in there. I know John McMullen likes him a lot. But he's got a big role to fill. How many people in here believe that Moro Ojomo is going to fill Milton Williams' role and there'll be no drop-off at all? How many people believe that? That Moro Jomo is completely, by the way, like I said, I think Trey Robinson's going to beat him out. Who do you believe? Let's take this one. Maybe not too much drop, but hell, no to your answer. Okay. I'm with Abe on this one. I think that's going to be a development over the next 2 years. Moro Jomo and Ty Robinson are going to develop their role over the next 2 years. The question will be this: can they do it this year? And can they have the immediate impact that Cooper and Q had? And can they get their game up to speed? Or will they not? There's only two things to look with this. You're not going to, the first couple games of the year, you're going to see a drop-off. Now, are they going to get better? Look, here's how it goes. Either Moro Jomo is going to come out of the gate, play his ass off, fade, or he's not going to get out early good, pick it up later, and that's what you're kind of hoping for, is as the season goes on, he gets better. Like Nolan Smith. I'll tell you flat out, if Nolan Smith had played the way he did at the beginning of the year and he faded towards the end of the year, I'd be like this: that guy's not a good player. But the optimism with Nolan Smith was, once he got his opportunity, that BG left and his reps went up, he got better. That's why he puts himself in that room where you're like, okay, how high can he go? See, the question with Nolan Smith will be, how good is he? Is he that guy? Is that good enough? Well, they won a Super Bowl with it. Is there a higher ceiling or not? Like I tell you all the time with Hurts. Hurts is around 3,400 yards every year passing and 20 to 22 touchdown passes. He's not going to get any better than that. That's not how the team's built. That's not his skill set. He's not a 4,000-yard passer. That's not what he is. And if he, by the way, if he does throw for $4,000, the Eagles had a bad year. Why? Well, you're playing from behind. Do you not agree? If Jalen Hurts is 4,500 passing yards, that means something happened to Barkley. And you're playing from behind. Your passing numbers were so low because you were so great in the run game. You didn't have to count on a passing game. Passing game is high turnover plays. Okay? See this here? You don't know this. Everyone thought the ceiling was through the roof for Carson Wentz. You have no idea. Injuries, more workload, no idea. That's why takes on a player don't stay, because you don't know what the player is yet. Nolan Smith hasn't played a full season yet before you start crowning him. He has not played as a starter 17 straight games. That's a fact. I'll tell you this. I'm more higher on Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean because they've been there pretty much every single game last year. Okay? Some of these guys have half seasons, like Jalix Hunt. And again, I'm shocked the player started performing. You saw his name more. But here's my take. Let me finish up with Moro Jomo. My take on Moro Jomo is this. I want to see him against the run. Because if he can't play the run, he ain't playing for Vic. He's not. If he can't play the run, pass rushing was not one of your better things. You weren't terrible last year, But you were exceptional at playing the run and defending the pass. Okay? That's what led to the number 1 ranked defense. Vic would rather have a run stopper than a pass rusher. And Morrow Jones was more of a pass rusher. Now, let's see him play. I don't know. I thought he was very productive when he got in there. I did. But when he was playing the run, he got knocked off the ball a lot. Watch him. Put the tape on. He gets knocked off the ball. He's not stout in there against the run. He's a good pass rusher. But remember something, too, when I say that. 70% of the time, you're in nickel, which means he's going to be on the field a lot. But first and second down have to be a priority. Okay? Jaylen Carter, here's my take on him. These guys, I think, have to have big roles this coming year. What I saw the player, it surprised me. I won't lie. And he's bigger than I thought. He's got good hands. He's fast. He's got the right attitude. He's got the right coach. I will say this. You know, one of the things that they're experimenting on is Zach Bond rushing. What does that tell you? Are they completely sold that Nolan Smith or Jaylen Carter are going to give you the volume of pressure they need? If you're taking Zach Bond off ball and putting him out and he's working with the edge rushers, look at what you're doing here. So, same thing they're doing in Cooper DeJean to Zach Bond. And what I mean by that is this. Well, they're going to take him off ball where he was first team All-Pro. For what? Because they're going to get pressure, because that's kind of his forte, his pass rushing when he was at New Orleans that he was known for? Okay. Well, shit. The guy was first team All-Pro, inside linebacker, off ball. You better have a great plan on this. And you better have somebody that can play inside. And that kid Campbell ain't ready yet. And he's not going to be. And you're putting a lot of faith in Trotter to be the guy. Personally, like I said, Trotter couldn't see the field a year ago. Oren Burks was in the building. You can't beat Burks out? Well, if you're not better than Oren, he's not better. Get this, folks. Jeremiah Trotter is not better than Oren Burks. He's not. Not at this stage in his career yet. That's what you're going to start against the Cowboys. A lesser player than Oren Burks. Now, you got two good guys in front. Okay? But he's not. Or he would have stayed in the field last year. Vic wasn't afraid to play first-year guys. Look at Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper. They both played right away. If Trotter had any kind of place on that roster, they'd have stuck him in there. No, he didn't do that. Howie didn't want to pay the $7 million that he got in Cincinnati. They just paid $17 for Zach Bond. The guy got $7 million to play in Cincy. And he's going to start for the Bengals. Okay. I think he had a spectacular rookie year. I really do. And I was surprised. He stepped right in. I mean, he was exceptional, in my opinion. He was. Diamond Dallas Page will join us at 5 o'clock. Gary Cobb will join us at 4:30. The last couple of days, man, I mean, people have been texting me going crazy here. I mean, look at this thing here. Before I get to Xander, look at this here. Here. So the New York Giants are reporting to training camp on July 15th. Detroit is reporting on July 16th because they're playing in the Hall of Fame game. The Eagles are reporting on the 22nd, 6 days later. I mean, we're like 3 weeks out from the season starting, folks, and people getting this bad puppy going. I cannot wait. Really, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great year this year. Folks, do me a favor. Please hit the like button. Without further ado, guys who are just absolutely killing it. One of my favorite shows, Birds 365 with John McMullen, is our friend, the co-host, Big Z, Xander Krause. How you doing, brother?
What's up, Big Sills? How you doing, brother?
2 Eagles that you think will have a huge and a bigger role in 2025. I put up Moro Jomo and Jaylen Hunt.
Ooh, I like Jaylen Hunt.
Dudes are going to have a big role because they got some big shoes to fill. They're filling the shoes of Milton Williams, and they're filling the shoes of Josh Sweat. They're expanded roles, and the organization is counting on these guys to step in. Are there 2 other guys for you that
you kind of took mine? You took the one I was thinking with Jaylen Hunt, but I'm going to go Jalen Hurts one because I think you are going to have to see him take more of that on his plate this year, the offensive load. I do think that's going to happen. So Jalen Hurts, I was going to say Jaylen Hunt, but, Sills, you could go take your pick, man. Jaylen Hunt's a great pick. Reed Blankenship is a great pick. He's now the veteran in the secondary. Quinyon Mitchell's a great pick because he no longer has Darius Slay, and he's kind of being the anchor now of the corners. Cooper DeJean is the guy who has to play all over the secondary. And by the way, Zach Bond, too, he paid him this big money. He better come out in here and replicate what he did last year, or else that defense won't work as well. So most of them are on the defensive side of the ball. I do go Jalen because I think he's going to have that Jalen Hurts because he's going to have a lot of I think there's going to be a big opportunity for him to really have a much bigger footprint on this offense than he did a year ago.
I just made a comment, and tell me if you agree or disagree. Bro, if that guy has 4,500 yards passing or 4,600 yards passing, something happened to the run game. I mean, something happened to Barkley.
Well,
if that ends up going down that lane, unless Jalen just all of a sudden becomes somebody he hasn't been, and he just starts throwing the ball around the yard, and all of a sudden he morphs into being one of those guys. But in 4 years starting, I haven't seen that guy, and I'm not expecting that guy. But we're going to go into year 5, and all of a sudden they're going to ask him to do something completely different than what he's done for 4 years. Is throw the ball more?
Well, he did throw the ball on 22 and 23 a lot more so. But do you agree with this? If the defense falls from 1 to 10, they're going to throw the ball more next year.
Yes.
Without the running game changing at all.
Yes. And if they want to take some of the carries away from Barkley, yes, they're going to have to do that. But again, I go back to what all of you have said to me. Dude, man, I'm going to write Barkley. I'm going to give Barkley 420 carries again. I'm sorry, man. If Saquon Barkley
doesn't it have to work? You know what I mean? Like the defense was so good last year, it kind of allowed the Eagles to play that way. Like if you're giving up more points, you're not going to be able to just kind of run it at free. You know what I mean? Like that's why last year was such a perfect combination of complementary football where it's very unlikely that we replicate that level. So there's going to be changes. What are they going to be? I think the passing game is going to be one of them.
So do you mean like you see a team out there defensively that you're going to play on that schedule that you think could stop you running the ball? I don't.
Yeah, but how good's our defense? That's basically what this is about. It's not as much about the running.
You understand if you throw the ball more, you have more opportunities to go 3 and out because of incompletions, tip passes, fumble. It's higher turnover percentage football when you're being more of a passing game. Now, to me, when you do that, there's more of a chance. Do you think the Eagles start fast as an offense this year? Do you think they're going to start fast, or do you think they're going to be a team that's going to get out the same way they did a year ago until they try to figure themselves out. Because if they try to do this, well, let's throw the ball more. That's not the identity they had a year ago that won them the Super Bowl. There does have to be a balance, like you say. And when you say balance, I don't think there was that much balance last year during the season when it came to throwing and passing. I never saw that balance. What I saw was a team that nobody could stop. And they were just so dominant at the point of attack. Now, does that hold up again? I guess that's your point. Will that hold up again? Well, how about this, Xander? Do you think the same formula from 2024 will work in 2025? Yes or no?
No, because I don't think the defense is going to be as good. I think it's going to be a great defense.
Field position.
Well, yeah. So I think it changes the way that the game is played. I mean, if you're only giving up 17 points a game, you can run the ball a lot, and get away with it. Your margin for error grows from that defense. So if they're not as good, or you're giving up 23 points a game, you're going to have to score more. Now maybe they could do that with the running game. Maybe I'm downplaying that a little bit, but I think they're going to have to throw the ball more. I just think that the NFL changes too much year to year. I don't think teams, after what happened last year with Saquon Barkley having such a big year, I mean, guy's like the biggest star in the NFL right now. Number one jersey, he's on the cover of Madden. Like, everybody knows that the Eagles ran over everybody last year. I don't know. You think they're going to be able to just come out and do it no matter what?
Yeah.
Yeah, you think they're that good?
Yeah, I do. Did you get my take what I said, what makes you guys so great? Look at the fucking Bears. They went out, they traded for O-linemen. They drafted O-linemen. They're trying to replicate and do the things that Philly is. But then I looked at their guys. Tune, the trade with the guy from the Rams they brought up. And then I looked at the Eagles and I went, wait a minute here. They drafted Mulata. They drafted Landon. They drafted Cam. They drafted Steen. And they drafted Lane. Fuck, dude. When you got homegrown dudes like that and you're growing them inside your garden like that, bro, that is such an advantage on being able to use contracts, production, how great they are. Name me another team in the last 15 years that has done that with 5 guys. Can you? I can't think of another NFL football team that develops 5 guys a year to having that line hasn't had a drop off in the 5 years I've been with you, Xander. And it's gotten better. Hey, it's gotten better.
It's arguably gotten better, which is crazy to say. I mean, it really is.
I'm going to ask you about the new guys. I want you to give me your opinion on what they're going to do this year. These are all the new faces that I think will make an impact. What's Ty Robinson going to do?
I think he's got a more of a Jomo role this year. But I think he can play. I think he can play the run too. Now, I don't know how ready he's going to be in there, but I do think he's going to get 300 snaps, probably minimum.
So you think he's going to be the rotation piece?
Yeah, I think he fills in behind Morrow.
And he's like he's going to be on the field a lot, you think, this year?
Well, I mean, who else is there?
Okay, that's what I'm asking. I mean,
yeah, I think
the depth level on the team is not that.
They're going to have to, right? I mean, he's going to be on the field no matter what.
Okay. What do you think the role of Jahad Campbell will be this year?
I don't know. That's one I really can't gauge. I don't really know what that role is going to look like. Is it off ball? Is it edge rusher? Is he, playing in NASCAR only? I can't really figure out what his role is going to be. It's going to be one of those things I got to see what Vic does and how the player develops and progresses in camp and, when he gets back healthy, basically.
What's his Diso Ojulari going to be? What do you make of this player? Who is he? What is he going to do?
I don't like Ojulari that much. I like Josh Uche better. I've liked Uche better from the start. I think he has a better skill set that Vic would be able to get something out of him than Ojulari. But we'll see. I mean, I think they're kind of just dart sills. If you get productivity out of any of the two, I think you're happy with it. You know what I mean? You paid, I don't know what you
have to.
Huh? You probably have to. You got Jalix Nolan.
Okay.
And who? I mean, that's what I mean. You're probably going to have to get some.
You have to get something out of those guys because, hey, dude, they were limited with 3 dudes, right? One of those guys are going to have to come through for them. I look at here, Ty Robinson, we'll see. I think the player has a chance to win the job, actually. I heard you and John talking about a path. I think he's got probably the easiest path, him and Makuba, on winning jobs.
Yeah.
Jahad Campbell, I get him at right inside linebacker. I think that's the heir apparent to take over for Nakobe Dean. I think next year your linebackers are going to be Zach Bond and Jahad Campbell inside.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad bet by you. I don't think that's a bad bet at all.
I think Azeez Ojulari, I think he was a good pass rusher, but he was limited. I'll tell you why I think Vic likes him. He can drop and he can rush, but he's not very good against the run. Okay, he is not a run defender. But remember, you're on the field 70% of the time in nickel. So I think that guy could be your guy out there, but it depends on how well you play the run on first and second down. The kid from Georgia, Mundon, is that how you say his last name? What do you think his impact will be?
I don't think much. I think he's a bench player this year. I mean, I think he's what Trotter was last year. You didn't see Trotter much, maybe some special teams here and there, but I mean, I know you think he's got a chance to beat out Trotter. I don't really. I don't think he's ready yet.
Why are you impressed with Trotter? What has he done to make you impressed with him?
It's not that I'm impressed with him. It's that I mean, just trying to read the tea leaves of what's going on. The team seems to put him in that position when it gets there, And last year he was a rookie, so I didn't expect him to play over Oren Burks. And now every opportunity they've had post the linebackers they've lost, they've put in Trotter. So I'm just kind of reading the tea leaves. I think they like him. I think they like him and they're good with him there. So we'll see what he can do. But I happen to like the player. Now, maybe there's some bias there because he's a Trotter, and obviously the Axeman and stuff like that. And my sister's good friends with his fiance and stuff. So I don't know. Maybe there's some bias, but I'm optimistic on the kid. I think he's going to be a good player.
Rooting for him.
Yeah, I am too. And not only am I rooting for him, though, but I actually believe he's got the traits necessary to be successful.
Yeah, see, I look at him and I say this. I go, okay. Well, I haven't seen anything impressive with him whatsoever yet. And everybody's talking about him being like this guy. I mean, I don't remember him ever like where you went like this. When you went with Jaylen Carter a year ago, this is what I said with Hunt. Holy shit, this guy's showing up in places. And holy cow, there he is. He's flashing. It wasn't consistent, but you kind of saw it. I mean, again, like I said, if you're talking to me about helmets and shorts in practice and they like them on what they're doing, I understand that because a lot of people take a lot away from that. And Vic does too, and being lined up in the right place. That's not going to shock me that he doesn't know where not to line up because his dad probably prepped him. But at the end of the day, I haven't seen that guy one time in a position where I thought that guy was a good ball player. And I also will say this, to be fair, I've also not seen him in a position where I thought he sucked. You know what I mean? I mean, I just don't know
eternal pessimist coming out in you.
What's that?
It's your eternal pessimist.
No, well, I'm a prove-it guy.
I know, AKA I'm a pessimist until I'm not allowed to be.
Well, bro, you've got to have certainties, and you're trying to get as much certainty as possible.
Well, you're not going to have certainty.
They're giving me fantasy talk about a kid who's been in the building.
Wait a second. We got 2 linebackers injured, and the 4th guy's trying to step up, and we need him to be certain.
But people are painting him like he's Trotter Sr.
No, I'm not doing that.
I didn't say you were.
I'm not doing that.
No, I didn't say you said that. All right. So I went back and put the game film on with Makuba. I want you to help me out on something here because, again, I'm me being the ultimate pessimist, as you say. So I'll ask you, Xander, what has impressed you about him when he was at Clemson and he was at Texas, where you went like this? Okay, there's Gardner Johnson's replacement.
Not much. I mean, he's a feisty player. He plays all over the field. He's a hard hitter. He's one of those guys who's not afraid to get in there. But, yeah, I mean, I want to see it more with him. I mean, that's a little different than Trotter. Trotter's going into year 2, and we got this guy in the back of the 2nd round, and we need him to be a starter, basically. I mean, we need him to fill a role where Gardner Johnson was a highly productive player. So that's obviously a bigger question mark in my estimation than than what Trotter is at linebacker. But I haven't seen anything. I mean, I'm in the prove it camp with you. I'll channel my pessimism and say I need to see it from Drew Makuba.
You think he starts?
I do because I don't like Sidney
Reed.
Brown. I'm not the biggest Sidney Brown fan. Now, I could be wrong on him. I feel like Sidney Brown's either going to be like great one day or he's going to just be like a eternal, guy just like runs around the field like a chicken with his head cut off. He just like never stops moving, So I don't know. I'm not sold on Sidney, so I'm thinking Drew is going to get the start, which is either going to be good or not so good.
Can I say this to you about? I'm gonna deviate a little bit here. Can I say this to you about Reed Blankenship? I'm a big fan of Reed Blankenship at $7 million. I hate Reed Blankenship at $15 million.
I'm with you on that, dude. I'm sorry, but Reed, Reed, I love you, dog, but like 15 M's, bro. I don't think so. We got Jaylen. Who do you want? Jaylen Carter and Nolan Smith or Reed Blankenship? Like I don't know. We're gonna have to cut that down from 15.
Yeah, I'm not.
What about 10? 10, you're like, I'll put up with it. But if you make one bad play, you're traded.
Dude, Gardner was going to make 11, and you got rid of him.
Dude, I don't even think Gardner was supposed to make that.
Okay.
I think it was like down to 8 this year because of like the way they structured the contracts.
Man, so you got rid of a guy who was financially in the building for
you.
Yeah,
dude, like
and you want to pay this guy 15?
Let me look up what CJ Gardner's contract is. I thought it was less.
I thought it was 11-2 this year.
Well, 3 years, $27 million he signed.
Okay.
So this year, $9 million cap hit.
Okay.
Base is 775. Roster bonus 500, 250,000 workout bonus, and 500 G's.
So you're right. It's about 8.
$8.5 million.
Yeah, 8.5. Yeah. And now you want to give this guy 15? Fucking, I don't get that. That doesn't make it. Do you really think they're going to sign him?
Who, Reed?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's one of those things where sometimes John in the morning will say things and he like gives me the look. I've said this before. And like when he talks about Reed, he gives me the look of like, it's not about my opinion or your opinion. I have it on a source that they're going to pay this guy. And that's what they're going to do. Now we can analyze whether they should, but they're going to pay him. Now that's what I'm being told. I don't know if it's true or not.
They're going to pay him? Like, does John think 15 million?
Well, John said if I was his agent, I'd be asking for 15 million. That doesn't mean that's what they're going to pay him. And it doesn't mean that there's not the breaking point, a threshold that they wouldn't go over. But I think they want to pay him. I think they want to pay him.
That's what Derwin James makes.
I know. He's not in Derwin James, dude. That's insane.
I mean, that's like Cam Chancellor kind of shit. I don't know. What do you make of Adoree Jackson's role this year? I'm talking about all right.
I think he's going to be all right, actually.
I think he starts out there at corner.
Oh, really? You think Ringo? All right, so you're saying if Ringo
will be in the Isaiah Rodgers role.
Yeah, but then you're basically saying Ringo's donezo in Philly. I mean, year 3, dude. If not now, when? How much more years do you need to ride the line?
And plus he'll be open for a contract extension too in the offseason. I mean, he just ran. I heard you and John talking about him, and John's right. If not now, when? He just ran out of time. He was too young when he came in the league. The Eagles were right to keep him. Hey, look, dude, you're not wrong to have him on the roster. I see it too. I understand where they're going. You're right. John said that if he would have played another year in the SEC, he probably wouldn't have been a first rounder. Maybe. He was a good football player, man. And he was good in the number 1 conference. I'm not dispelling that. But still, you can't have a guy on a ball team 4 years and he not fucking start. I mean, what is he going to do? What do you think? You're on the GI Bill here? I mean, right?
Yeah, I don't know. You're right. You're right, Sills. Well, I think Ringo wins that job. I don't think it's Adoree.
All right. What's Kenyon Green to you?
It's stiff. A camp body traffic cone.
You see they moved him over behind Landon Dickerson now?
He's a traffic cone. He's literally out there to move around.
They got Steen in the starter role now.
Steen, I know. He's probably going to have every chance to win it, but he had every chance to win it last year too, and Beckham won it. So I don't think it's going to be Kenyon Green, though, if he doesn't win. I think it's going to be Matt Pryor.
So let me read you these names. Ty Robinson. These are your new guys. Ty Robinson, Jahad Campbell, Azeez Ojulari, Joshua Ucha, Samil Mandan, that how you say his name, Andrew Makuba, Dory Jackson, and Kenyon Green. What do you make of these new guys and the impact? I mean, I don't know. When I look at that group, I go,
yeah, it's not impressive.
That's not an impressive group of dudes. These are guys that you have to have replace star players. I'm not impressed with that list. Maybe the Campbell kid and the Robinson kid that I'm impressed with. If I had to pick two guys off that list, I think Campbell's going to be a good player for you. I do. The rest of these
but
guys.
When? I'm not doubting Campbell. My take is when. Because so much of this, even as an Eagles fan, it is hard to admit that this is a little bit more built for 2026 right now than 2025. Now, there's a chance that 2025 could work out and players could be better than we think earlier. But I don't know. We got a lot of question marks for sure on defense that dudes need to step up. Now, here's the thing. Ringo is going to step up. So cross it off the list, Walter. Reed Blankenship is going to have a great year. Zach Bond will be excellent. Jalen Hunt will be the best edge rusher on the football team. Cooper and Quinion are still here. So I think the defense is going to be really good still.
So nobody has a down year.
Well, I think there's still question marks. What about safety? Drew Makuba.
Okay, like you said with Reed.
The Drewster.
Who's playing next to Reed?
The Drewster.
Okay, so the last time he had a stiff playing next to him, he didn't look very good in 23, did he?
Who was the stiff that year? Oh, yeah, they had a stiff, and then they went to another stiff in Kevin Byard in the middle of the year. That guy was the ultimate stiff. Everybody was so excited to trade for that guy.
Don't you think he's a product of the people that he played in between a year ago?
Why? Because he's undrafted?
No. He keeps bringing up the UDFA. That is a problem for everyone, I don't know why that stigma is such that. It was the stigma with TJ, wasn't it? TJ had that stigma, didn't he?
Yeah.
When he played here.
Yeah, no, he did.
The only way you lose that is
That's why TJ had such a good year and only got paid like $7 million.
Well, he's having a great career in Chicago, even though he's not winning. I got 5 teams for you here, real quick here. My 5 teams that I think had the best offseason. By the way, what do you think of the Eagle offseason?
Nothing crazy. I mean, nothing great. But I kind of like what they did because last time we got to the Super Bowl and we got a little bit too high on paying people and keeping guys around, it didn't really work out. So I'm not like in love with the idea of just running everything back and expecting the same result. So I don't know. I do think there's a chance like they made good decisions and moved the right contracts and have the right guys in the right spots. But it is a big if and it's a big hope.
I think they did. And I brought this up about Jaylen Carter. Dude, they love that kid so much. They got rid of the number 1 defense in the NFL to make sure they're going to pay that fucking guy and make sure that guy is going to be the centerpiece of your team. You whacked a ton of good players for one guy. Theoretically, one guy. Do you not agree? They said this: I'd rather have that kid than the number 1 defense and be able to build around that kid for the next 10 years than I would to have that number 1 defense. That shows you absolutely great respect. Okay? I mean, it is. Here's my 5 teams that I think had a good offseason. I'm going to start with 5. Bro, I think the Minnesota Vikings did a really good job. They improved their O-line. They improved their D-line. They've got an outstanding defense. The key, obviously, is going to be what goes on at quarterback. But I like that team, man. I mean, you look at their roster, Xander, their wide receivers are as good as anybody. Addison and Jefferson. The tight end is good up there. The old line is good. They improved in the defensive tackle position. They're good at linebacker. Brian Flores is an outstanding defensive coordinator. I love the whole thing. I think Minnesota had a great offseason.
All right, dude. And who the fuck's throwing a football?
Hey, like I said, Well, they're going to build the team around a quarterback the same way Philly builds around theirs.
That's actually it's true. But
okay?
I will proudly profess from the highest mountaintop in the country that J.J. McCarthy is not Jalen Hurts.
That's what they're hoping, because that's what it looks like to me, that they're trying to build that team around him.
You got to be kidding me.
I'm with you. I didn't think that guy was good at Michigan.
You're not telling me that.
I didn't think he was that good at Michigan. Did you?
JJ McStinks is not going to be better than Jalen Hurts.
I'm with you, man. Hey, I never thought he was good at Michigan.
Look, Jack, you know I love you, brother, but spoken like a true Michigan man right there. Jack went to Michigan. I know that. Jack, come on, Jack. I know you love your Michigan man. That dude ain't an NFL player.
Hey, Jack. They played the Penn State game, and in the second half of that game, they didn't throw the pass one time. Come on, dog. They didn't throw the ball. Oh, maybe that's like Hurts. I don't know. They didn't have to throw the ball at all last year.
No way.
Maybe he does have a little bit of Jalen Hurts in him, Jack. Right?
Hurts,
I don't know. All right.
Jalen's a Super Bowl MVP. Put some respect on his name. He's earned it.
Yeah.
He's earned it. Admit it. Admit it now. He's earned it.
Yeah, him and Joe Flacco, Super Bowl MVPs. Congratulations.
Jalen Hurts has earned it.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts has earned my admiration. How you doing, kids? Good. Keep playing hard. By the way, he's into my top 5. I told you I can't not put him in there until something happens this year. If it does, I don't know. I doubt it. He's probably going to be a hero this year. All right, number 4. Because you just heard, did you hear Xander what he just said about the Eagles? Jalen Hunt's going to have a great year. Who else did he say? Nolan Smith's going to have a great year. Bakuba's going to have a great year. Everyone's going to have a superstar season in Philly. And this is why I say this. Washington has had a great offseason.
Dude, their team stinks.
They have added players that they needed to add right now as stopgap guys until they improve it in the draft. They have added the right pieces. They improved their O-line. They got a good number 2/number 3 receiver in Debo. Debo's not a number 1. He was a number 1 utility
Debo
player.
Legitimately stinks.
I'm sorry?
Debo stinks.
He does not. He owns the Eagles. There's a highlight reel.
Past his prime.
There's a highlight reel. I watched him just own the Eagles.
He is so far past his prime, it's not funny.
It's not true. And he's good. Get this. So guess who's going to be defending Debo Samuel when Washington plays him? Keely Ringo. Yeah, okay. Hey, I'll take that matchup.
What about Coop?
Coop. Oh, that's right. Well, no, he's got to take on the second best wide receiver because Q's taking on McLaurin.
That fat ass Debo ain't running by
Keely Ringo on Debo. Okay.
Have you seen Coop versus Debo in the offseason? Cooper's like adding muscle like there's no tomorrow. This dude is like fucking huge. And Debo is like, you could roll him down the football field from the 10-yard line of the end zone.
I know. Everyone's going to suck but Philly. Hey, I'll tell you this about Coop, man. He's got one of them beach bodies now. He's living the high life. This guy looks like he's Elvis out there, man. He's cool doing the hoochie coochie dance down there in Wildwood. I mean, shit. No wonder Wildwood wants to sponsor Birds 365. You got Cooper the Gene down there at the bars, hanging out, doing the hoochie coochie dance. How you doing? Wildwood must be killing it down there because that guy should just get a house there and live there.
Nah, dude.
Holy cow.
That's because, Coop is a beast, dude. What do you want? What do you want to say? Guy that picked off Mahomes in the Super Bowl for a pick 6 in front of 100 million people.
I know, man.
This dude is a stud. What do you want?
I know he's a hoochie.
Yo, Abe. Don't group me in on that, Abe.
I mean, he's like just a really good. He's really. By the way, all supers will be read. Please hit that like button. I got the Broncos. I think the Broncos have done some good. I do love that Dre Greenlaw sign. And
so you're in on Bo Nix.
I said they had a good offseason. I didn't say I'm in on Bo Nix.
No, you're in on Bo Nix. All right, you're in on. So far, you're in on J.J. McCarthy and Bo Nix.
No, I didn't say that. Okay, look at him there. Okay, and hey, I will say this:
Wait, this guy's out on Jalen Hurts, but he's in on JJ McSticks.
I'm out on Jalen Hurts. I said this to you. You ready? I bet Denver has a better defense than you.
Denver has a good defense. I'm not going to contest that one because I think they're one of the teams that has a chance to be the best defense in football this year. So I'm not going to take that bet because I think either or could win.
Yeah, they're pretty good back there, especially in that secondary.
Yeah.
Hey, dude, you know what? I think the Patriots have done a lot. I mean, the Patriots. I'm a Drake May fan.
I'm a Drake May guy, but I'm not a Stephon Diggs guy. Like, I don't think that's a guy like AJ Brown. When we brought AJ Brown here, he changed around the culture of the team. The aura of the team changed. You think that was Stephon? Like, even back when he was in Buffalo, remember when he first left Buffalo and everyone was like, he's one of the best.
The guy won the MVP after they got rid of him.
I mean, I'm just like, I don't know. He's a good receiver. That's it. And he's a head case. He's a sort of verifiable head case. I don't know.
You think he drags the team down?
I'm not saying he drags the team down, but I don't think he lifts them up. Okay. I do like Drake May, though. I'll give you that. He looks like he could be good.
Did you see that Mike Vrabel came out and said this? He goes, we're going to have an intense defense this year, and it's going to be one of the best defenses and best turnarounds you will ever see. I've got great hope in a lot of these guys. Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel says they're going to be one of the toughest defenses in pro football this year.
Well, he's got to believe in his guys. If he doesn't, who will?
Absolutely. Who do you think had the best offseason? Who do you think had the best offseason in the NFL?
Best offseason in the NFL. See, I got to be honest. I don't know enough moves that are made league-wide right now to be able to proclaim that. But I think you're right about the Vikings. I think they did some good things. I think the Bears did some good things. I think the Panthers actually did some good things, but I don't think they're going to be good enough just yet. I think the Bucs did some good things. I like what the Bucs did. I like the drafting of Emeka Egbuka. I think the Eagles did some good things. I think they got younger, and I like the guys that they drafted. I think the Commanders went the complete wrong direction, and I think they go down from 12 wins that they had last year. Got older, got slower, and really didn't really improve all that much. So I'm not really huge on what the Commanders did, to be honest with you.
I think they did a great job.
I know you do. I think, yeah, I know you do. You love that roly-poly Debo. And Laramie Tunsil, who was a turnstile last year.
I just absolutely love what they did in Washington.
They didn't do anything good.
They are going to win 12, 13 ball games this year. I will say this to you, too. For me, I think the Bears had the best offseason. And what I love about –
I mentioned them. I gave them an honorable mention.
I think they've done a lot, dude. They've improved the O-line. They got a play-calling head coach for their quarterback. Now they're trying to build the O-line to have an O-line like Philly, but they're doing it with mercenaries, and I don't like that because you're not going to be on the same page. So here's my 5 teams that I think had a really good offseason. I think the Bears, the Patriots, Denver, Washington, and Minnesota all improved their football teams.
Bears, Patriots, Denver, Washington, Minnesota. Good 5 except for Washington. That team got worse.
That team got better.
No, they didn't.
They really didn't. They did.
No, they didn't.
No, they got better. They didn't lose any coordinators. They got a left tackle finally to protect the quarterback's backside.
Laramie Turnstile.
They got a number 2.
Laramie Turnstile.
They made the NFC Championship game with a stiff at left tackle. Tunsil's not a stiff. I tell you this, he's got more all-pro teams.
When the Commanders don't even win 12 games this year.
You know that?
What?
Jeremy Tunsil's got more of a resume than Jordan Mailata does.
Well, right, he's been in the league longer.
Okay, he's been in the league 3 years longer.
Okay. Right, talk to me after another 3 years of first-team All-Pros.
Okay. I know. You're making it sound like that. By the way, the guy was a first-rounder, too. After the Pot smoking idea that his dad thought it was cool to take the mask off.
That was hilarious. I will give him credit for that. He is a legend for that. Oh, look, Cobra the Nerd is back. Oh, shut the F up, Xander. Cobra returns. They always come back. Come on back,
You guys
Cobra.
do always come back.
Come on back.
Hey, real quick here. One last one before we. Hey, guys, super chats, please, if you can. Hold on here. PFF 2025 head coaches. I got to get this up for Xander here. I haven't done this one yet. So here's the top people. This ain't big sales, of course. I didn't put this list together. Here are your top NFL head coaches. Andy Reid, 1, Kansas City Chiefs. Sean Payton, number 2, Denver Broncos. I guess.
What is it?
Number 3.
Coaches?
What?
Top coaches?
Yeah, Pro Football Focus.
Well, why wouldn't Sirianni be number 2?
Oh, I didn't make this list. Hang on.
What a shit list.
Hold on. Andy Reid, number 1. Sean Payton, number 2. Surely Sirianni's 3. Let's see. Oh, no. Sean McVay is number 3. Okay. Surely Sirianni's number 4. Oh, no. It's John Harbaugh. Shit. Sirianni's got to be 5. No. It's Mike Tomlin. Well, shit. Come on, man. There he is. No. Jim Harbaugh is number 6. Surely he's got to be number 7. Holy shit. They put Kyle Shanahan there. And there comes your boy at number 8, right in front of Dan Campbell, as the Pro Football Focus top 10 coaches in the NFL. Nick Sirianni sitting at number 8. And listen to what they put under his thing here. Sirianni is often targeted for criticism. Jay, that's
by talk show host Dan Sileo.
I'm just saying, no, I'm not just me. Angelo, too, man. He's on his ass.
Oh, Angelo, it was ironic listening to Angelo yesterday. I mean, talk about, all these coaches, and I'm like, this fucking dude, Angelo. I mean, he's got a good shtick and all, but this dude's talking at the back of his mouth. I mean, come on, man. Saying that Nick Sirianni stinks, saying that Rob Thompson stinks, saying that anybody that's successful, Angelo criticizes. It's like, Angelo, sit down and shut up. I mean, come on, man.
And Andy Reid, I can't go
with
Andy Reid.
I mean, guy's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I can't do
leave
that.
Leave it to Angelo Cataldi to say he stinks. You can almost use a rule of thumb. Anyone Angelo doesn't like is probably a pretty good coach.
Okay, here. You ready for this one? The Buccaneers will host the reigning Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles on September 28th at 1 p.m. And they're going to be celebrating the team's 50th anniversary. One lucky fan will get a vintage 1976 Ford Bronco in the special halftime giveaway. They're going to unveil the 5th. Tom Brady's going to be there. And so, so when the Eagles come to town, they're going to be honoring. That game's going to be a great game. I think that's going to be an interesting ball game. To see how that young defense for Philadelphia, and to see if Tampa Bay can hang with teams that you've got to beat the Eagles.
Tampa Bay can't hang with us.
Why? What do you mean? They've crushed you the last time.
I don't care. That's over. It's done. It's dusted.
So with the new defense, you think they return all 11 guys on offense too? The team
I'm predicting we beat the Buccaneers by 3 touchdowns in week 4.
Hit that fucking like button. Let's get to some of these super.
I mean, are you kidding me? What do you want me to believe in Baker Mayfield?
Why? He's owned you.
I like Baker. I'm kidding. I do. I like Baker. I like Baker. I just don't think
you're going to have to prove one thing to me. You play against a team like Philly, you're going to have to prove you beat the champs. You want to beat champs? Bro, you got to beat them. Then you're going to make me believe you can get to the NFC Championship game. You want to hear something I predicted today on the morning show in Tampa? I said the Buccaneers are going to play the Eagles in the NFC Championship game.
I don't hate that. I love that as an Eagle fan. In Philly. Because we're winning that game.
In Philly.
28-11, we beat them with a 32-ranked defense. Thank you very much, Dank Bird Gang. That's proof of that. 3 touchdowns sounds right about right.
And actually, they beat the living fuck out of the Super Bowl champions a year ago.
I might be a little shy. It might be 4 touchdowns, Abe. It might be 4 touchdowns.
The Super Bowl champs got their asses handed to them.
Why are all these everybody's Sileo-ized right now? Stop it. We're the Super Bowl champs. Stop letting this schmuck Italian from California tell you that
Yeah,
your team
I
stinks.
am not.
You're the best team in fucking in the NFL.
You are
Fuck
not the
that.
best. That team's gone, dude. Like Merrill says, gone. Just like Cooper DeJean's old habits of being an Iowan. This guy's a rock star now. I heard you say
not
this.
Going? Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni.
That guy could walk around Iowa or Ames or wherever the fuck.
All the Sirianni Hurts detractors. It's funny. It's like they're selling a false reality. It's like you shouldn't believe in these guys. But it's like, wait a second. Look at all the success. It's like, no, don't look at that, everybody. Don't look at that. Look over here. They actually stink. Well, wait a second. This is the best 3 years in Philadelphia Eagles history. No. Don't worry about that. Look over here. I promise you, Sirianni and Jaylen suck. It's like, no, they don't.
What's Sirianni's biggest impact on your team?
What do you mean? He's a perfect football coach for this team.
No, what is his biggest impact? Personnel, play design, play calling?
Here you go, trying to put him into a box. He's the CEO, head coach of the football team. He manages all of the on-field stuff and everything that the team does. He's got coordinators.
Well, what's Andy Reid? I know what Andy Reid's identity
and everybody does their part. Nick Sirianni is the head of the snake.
I know what Andy Reid does. He picks his assistants. He's involved with personnel decisions, and he's a play caller. That's his job. That's his job in Kansas City. That's what that guy does. Nick Sirianni has none of those jobs. He has none of them. You know what? Somebody brought a great comparison up. And think of this on Phil Jackson. You would never hire Phil Jackson in a million years to build your team. And he's won 11 NBA titles. Why? Because when he went to New York to try to build the Knicks, he was a colossal failure. Hiring coaches, hiring personnel, drafting. Look at Jordan. When Jordan tried to build the Charlotte Hornets, he couldn't. He was a player. You know what Nick is? Nick's a guy that walks into a room and he knows the room. He knows what knee to get on. How you doing? Like the Pope. Like when the Pope and Howie walks in. Pope Roseman walks in and the Pope walks in. This guy's on his knee. And he knows, and he's right to do it. I'm not saying that's not the right way today. I think coaches today, every coach in the NFL today, and you're right, Xander, coaches today, they don't want them having personnel decisions. They don't want them to have all the power like Sean Payton's and Andy Reid's any longer. They want to be able to control more of the narrative. And you know what? The way the Eagles do it, they win.
You think the Eagles would win just as much without Nick?
I don't. You know what? I'm gonna go down your lane on this one. No, I don't, because I don't believe that you can. I think when you have a perfect storm going, I think you have to leave that chemistry alone. I think they. Oh, I'll ask you the question. Do you think the Eagles believe that front office and the owner?
Well, I think they'd be largely successful without him. I don't know if they think they would have this level of success. It's one thing to be a good overall organization year in and year out. I think the owner and the front office have established that they can be that. But do you have the right coach and the right quarterback that get you over the mountaintop? That is a different beast. Being able to have that is different than just being a good team. I mean, look at the Ravens. You think that front office isn't like, man, I feel like we do everything every year to put our team in a position to win, and they do. They haven't gotten over the top. So I do think Nick and Jaylen get the credit for the final push. Yeah, I think they get the credit for the final push.
Because John has gotten over the top, but he hasn't gotten over the top
with
Lamar. But I know what you mean. I know that they put that team in a good position.
Oh yeah, with Joey Flacco.
But one thing is for sure. I mean, John Harbaugh, he's part of personnel decisions.
Was Joe Flacco elite?
No. That's why Jalen's not.
All right, let's rattle through these supers. We only got a couple.
All right.
JD3 says, Tunsil better hit that mask twice before he sees Nolan and Hunt. Tebow looks like he's been wearing that mask a little too much.
Holy cow, is that a great take?
JD, that's a good super chat right there.
It is.
That's the Tunsil mask, baby.
What a great
Eagles says, just because. Thank you. Thank you, Fly Eagles. Just because $2. Appreciate you, Fly Eagles. One of our great supporters here. We appreciate you. A-Team checks in. They have a feeling Dotson will be traded midseason once his stock goes up a little. What do you think about Raiders and Carroll and Chip Kelly?
They're not trading him.
I'm not high on the Raiders A-Team. I do think they've done things better, and I think Pete Carroll will get them in the right direction. And I think Brady's been pretty good in what they've done, but who'd they get? Geno Smith?
Geno Smith?
Yeah, I can't get it. I like Geno.
He won a lot of games up there for Pete.
I mean, Geno was a good story a couple of years ago when he kind of came back to life a little bit. But Kyle says, Xander, I'm going to send you a bottle of Wild Turkey this season. Going to be a doozy featuring Ramen Noodle Hurts, AJ Owens, and Private Pie. This dude Kyle's off his rocker.
I love
Kyle. You might take that bottle of Wild Turkey and send it to yourself, my friend. Come on, man. I don't need that.
Ramen Noodle Hurts. What is that?
Kimberly says, what's up, Kimberly? If we go passing, short throws and checkdowns.
Hey, Brady won 7 Super Bowls.
It's not particularly Jalen's game, though. Don't you guys remember Carson Wentz? Like, we used to be like, this dude can throw a 40-yard laser down the field, perfect, on target, on time, on the money. But you needed him to dump one off to the running back, and he airs it over his head, or he throws it into the dirt. And I'm just like, how? But some quarterbacks it doesn't come as easy to them, that check down stuff. And I think Jalen's always been so good with his legs. He never really built that up. And I don't think it's a fault of his. I just think it's kind of the way his career has gone. But I would like to see him use it a little bit more.
Absolutely.
That's all of them.
Okay, good stuff there, man. Yeah, hey, Ramen Noodle Hurts. Way to go, Kyle. I like it.
Yeah, Super Bowl MVP is a box of ramen noodles. Good. Hey, Kyle. That's a good take, my friend. That will get you into the Hall of Fame.
Joe Flacco's going to Hall of Fame too.
I mean, that's one of the worst takes you'll ever read.
Joe Flacco's a Hall of Famer too, right?
No. Jalen Hurts has been way more successful than Joe Flacco in the first 4 years. His trajectory is way higher than Joe Flacco's right now.
Okay. Joe Flacco, come back.
He's like 50 and 20 with 2 Super Bowl appearances in 3 years. Come on, man.
47,000 passing yards.
All right, if you put passing yards,
Super Bowl MVP.
Here we go again with the stats.
Super Bowl win. I mean, 5 Pro Bowls? I mean, dude, the guy does a pretty decent resume.
Not about passing yards.
How about this? He's got a great resume for winning, too.
Oh, wait a second. Speaking of passing yards, if you want to go there, Jalen Hurts' career stats, he probably has, 15K already? He's got 15K already. 14-7. 15K, 14-7. In 4 years.
Not bad. He'll have 28,000 in another 5 years and he'll be ready to rock.
No, he won't. He'll have 28,000 in another 4.
Yeah, that's Hall of Fame status.
He'll pass Flacco.
No. I'm going to get to Gary here in a second. He's going to pass? Y.A. Tittle.
Oh, stop. I'm out of here. I can't. I mean, this is.
Hey, Xander, thank you, brother. We'll catch you
on Thank you. Appreciate everybody. Hit that like button. Kyle, get your meds, Kyle. Come on, man.
All right. Without further ado. Hey, I got to tell Gary this one here before we bring him up here. Make sure you check out Gary on Fox 29 too. So Cooper DeJean, man, you see him working out down at Wildwood. He's working out. He's hanging out, doing that with the girls. He's doing the curls. He's hanging out at Wildwood Beach. Hell, man, he's like a big star at Wildwood Beach. I mean, it's a lot better than Ames, Iowa, or whatever the hell. When you're in Ames, Iowa, you know what you do? You run in cornfields and you go cow tipping. Now when you're in Philly, he's like, look at all the girls. Holy cow, the beach. Dude, this guy doesn't know any better. This just in. You don't go to Jones Beach. Jones Beach is not very good. Chesapeake, okay, the Hamptons, okay, Mystic is good. And also, Wildwood used to be great. You want to go to Cape May? That's good, too. This guy, he's hanging out there at Wildwood. Son, Wildwood ain't what it used to be. I know it's not Ames, Iowa, but all right. Without further ado, let's get Gary's thoughts on the superstar that is Cooper DeJean now, our friend Gary Cobb from Fox 29, former Eagle. I don't know, Gary. This guy's acting like he's all like, a lot of distractions for this team this offseason.
Well, there are. And, you talked about Cooper. look at what Cooper's been through in the short time he's been here. I mean, he is popular. I mean, I've seen him where the little girls are running around, Cooper, screaming and stuff. So, he has run into a phenomenon, I mean, kind of in a way, because he had that Super Bowl play, and then the team wins the Super Bowl in his first year, and he's a young kid, and he is popular, with the little girls running after him and everything. But he's going to be all right, because I see he's working out. He's putting in time. He's getting in his work, because, people are going to be coming after him too. They've had a look at them. They are going to try to attack them. So I think they'll be up to it. But, he's going to get a good taste of NFL's best. They're going to design plays specifically for him. This is what happens when you win the whole thing, man. Everybody's looking at tapes of you. And people are going to be going after Cooper. Probably going to see some double moves and things. And some things he saw last year that he reacted to real quick. He's going to see that, and nope, not doing that. They're doing something else. So there's going to be a challenge, but he's I think he's a level-headed kid. I don't think he's letting it just take him away. So I think he was going to be fine, but the big thing is he's going to need to be there for some of the young kids that are going to be playing beside him now. So he's not going to be they're going to be looking to him to be one of the stabilizing forces there on the defense, especially in the secondary, because there are going to be some young people back there with him in all likelihood, and he's going to need to be a stabilizing force. So, things are going to change a little bit, but, he's a smart player. That's one thing about him. I don't think he got credit for that. I didn't realize he was
I didn't either.
Smart a football player he is. He's a smart player. The kid's got all the ability in the world. I mean, he's extremely talented. When you see the people he's running with, I'm going like, he's running step for step with the guy, and he's not a small corner. Well, he's a big corner. He's got some meat on the bone, as they say. So he's an extraordinary athlete. The thing is, people are going to be testing him. You got to expect more challenges when you go into your second year, and people are going to be going after him. So he's got to know that that's what he's going to see, and that's part of being in the NFL.
I got a new name for him: Caitlin Cooper Clark DeJean. I mean, hey, there he is, Gary.
See,
there he is, the White Hope. You're going to everybody in Philly. And don't tell me that this isn't a thing. Yeah. Because it was a thing in New York when you had Ryan, the kid, Seahorn.
Yeah.
Remember when you had Seahorn in there? Oh, my God, a white corner.
Yeah.
And everybody thought it was a big deal.
Yeah, he was a pretty boy and everything. And with the girls screaming and everything. I was up there. I saw him screaming. They're screaming and stuff. I'm going, what you guys screaming? Jason Seahorn. Oh, man. So. That's what you got going on with Cooper, Caitlin Clark DeJean here. I mean, well. You
got yourself something special.
I tell you what. Hey, you tell the rest of the league he can tackle better than she can.
Hey.
Okay.
Hey, that's for sure, man. I saw her. I'm with you there. Hey, Gary, let me ask you about Reed Blankenship here.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me, you help me out here and tell me if I'm wrong or if I'm right here. I'm sorry, man. I think he's a good player, but I do not think he's one of the top 20 safeties in the league. And follow me here when I say this. Yeah. So when Gardner Johnson wasn't on the team, that defense a year ago was 28th in pass defense. They were just terrible in the secondary. You put Gardner Johnson back in the room, all of a sudden they're great across the corners with Slay and also Q, and you had Gardner Johnson playing next to him. You just mentioned it. So you're going to have a rookie back there, and you're going to have another guy who first-year starter at that corner position. You're either going to have a Dory Jackson out there, or you're going to have Keely Ringo. That secondary does not have the talent across the board, and even Isaiah Rodgers, who came in and spelled Slay when he got hurt. I mean, how does that affect how you look at him? Now, he's eligible for an extension. Are you really paying that guy Derwin James money? I'm not.
I think, it's going to depend on how the season goes. Because but I think there's an opportunity. There's a chance they could be willing to pay him. There's a chance. but he's got to have a good year. There's no doubt about that. And I can't say that I know clearly, and I don't think that they have totally made their mind up about how they feel about Reed with regards to how much money they're willing to pay him. So, this is a big year for him too. He needs to be a great force for those young players, meaning he's a guy that can keep them going in the right way, keep them abreast of what's going on, talking to them, keep them at ease. Where if they're playing well, they're going to look at him as if he's the guiding force back there, because he's going to have to, he's the one that's the most experienced of the safeties. You see clearly he's going to be back there. So he's going to need to keep everybody even keel, make sure he's communicating with everybody. Everybody knows the calls and things. So that's going to be Reed's job. And I think that they feel like Reed is stepping more into a leadership position back there. So that's what they're expecting out of him. So that's going to be part of his job. And if he does that well and everything, that's going to help with regards to probably how much money they're going to be willing to offer him.
So in your opinion, it's more about Vic wanting that player back there and Vic thinking his importance back there, because you even heard Slay a year ago say, really, the quarterback of our secondary is Reed Blankenship. So you think that plays more of a factor than, again, he might not be one of the top talented safeties, but I mean, he's one of the most important safeties, because in Philly, he is the most important safety.
Yeah. Well,
maybe somewhere else he's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, they don't put him in situations where he's one-on-one a whole lot, especially with a good receiver. He might cover the tight end sometime and everything. But for the most part, he's got the, deep half, deep third, that sort of thing. But the big thing he's doing, he's a communicator back there. He's got to make sure everybody else is on the same page. He's the one that's making the adjustments. If they got motion and different things, a lot of times he is one of the key ones. That might be changing the coverage. But the big thing is the communication and keeping you got more younger guys back there. So they need veteran players who are going to be stabilized and forced to keep those guys on the same page. But he's a good player. Like, he's a good open field tackler and everything. He does a good job coming up against the run and everything. But, he's not a great one-on-one guy, and they don't put him in those kind of situations a lot. But
I don't see Derwin James when I see him. And if you're talking $15 million, that's Derwin James, and I don't see it.
But see, the league is changing. The price is going up on everything. And if he does a great job and these young guys play well and the defense is playing well, that's gonna be a big plus for him, because he's made some big interceptions for them, and he's a good tackler, and he's a stabilizing force back there. So
do you think he's part of the future of the team?
I'd have to say, right now, probably, but not definitely, because I don't think they've made up a decision. You see, they haven't said, hey, we're going to give you and then go ahead and really pay him right now. They haven't done that. See, so I think the jury is still out, but I think there's a good chance he could be. If they have a good season, the defense is playing well, these young kids are coming along, I think there's a chance of it. Now, in looking at the safeties, hey, they just drafted a safety.
That's why I'm sitting here going like this, Gary.
I hear you.
I mean, you draft a safety, and you're also talking about playing DeJean in the safety and base. Well, and now I'm going like this. Okay, well, where does that leave Reed then? I mean, you drafted a second rounder.
See, well, the thing is, they're going to be moving Cooper around. DeJean is going to be playing everywhere. They're going to utilize his abilities to do different things. If they want to do different things, they're going to be doing things with him, but they're going to be moving him around. So I don't know how much you can read into him and what he's going to be doing. But I do think that the fact that they drafted a rookie, okay, this kid comes in and plays well, that might not be the best thing for Reed. If he comes in and
think they let the season play out and kind of pay him the way they paid Zach Bond right before free agency starts, he earns that contract. Because I'm with you. I don't think they're gonna pay him.
They might not, because see, they have decisions on other players too. And one of the guys is of course Sidney Brown. Sidney Brown is a guy who this is a big year for him. Is he going to mature because Sidney Brown is capable of making big plays for them. He's a good tackler and everything. But is he going to mature where he's a steadying influence back there in the secondary? Does he come on to where all of a sudden, they're putting him on the field and they're giving him more and more opportunities? That's the situation that whole secondary is in. A number of the guys, this is their year, meaning that this is a decision year, and so they need to play well. And some of them needing to mature, like Brown. They need to have the confidence in him where he can get everybody lined up. He doesn't give up big plays, because see, that's the thing with Vic. You could make a few plays for him as a safety, but if you're giving up big plays, he's not crazy about big plays.
How about this one too? Think about this. Keely Ringo is up for an extension this offseason, and he hasn't seen the field.
Yeah, well,
you got a decision on that kid, because like, hey, it's one thing to be, I keep hearing this. Well, the kid's the youngest guy. They got him when he was super young. Well, shit, Gary. You're not on a GI Bill when you get to the NFL. I mean, you got to play eventually. You're 4 years on the roster.
That's right. It's his time,
right? I mean,
that's right. That's right. And that's why this is such a big year for those guys in that secondary, man. It's a big year because all those young kids, they're going to be evaluated, and the Eagles know they have important decisions to make, and that's why all of a number of them they got the eye on them. Who knows? Some of the guys might not be here when the season starts. They could trade people, and they'll probably figure they can trade some of them, who have had talent and were drafted kind of high. They figure there'll be other teams interested in them. But so somebody's probably going to get traded. Somebody of these young guys, somebody's going to get traded. But the guys that have come out and win their job and everything, who knows? If they they play well, they got to put together a couple good seasons. And they could be walking away with a boatload of money.
Couple more here for you, Gary. I got to throw this at you here. Do you realize that what the Eagles did and what Howie Roseman did this offseason, he looked at the number one defense and said, Jaylen Carter is more important than the number one defense when he went like this. Josh, Milton, CJ, all the guys they whacked off that team so that they could get in line to pay him exclusively.
Well, they got to, though.
I'm with the move. I'm with it. But doesn't that show you where they are with? They would rather have that player and build the defense around that player than have the number one unit. Gary, you could make the argument that defense a year ago became more accomplished. They may not be as talented as Gang Green, but they had more accomplishments than Gang Green because they won the Super Bowl.
True.
And what they did with a generational player in Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah,
you can make that argument. They went like this. Well, let's get rid of that team. We got to pay Carter. I'm not saying they're not wrong, but man, what a commitment to that kid.
Yeah, it was at the same time when I look at the different guys they let go. He's the one. He's the one that double teaming all the time. I mean, some of those guys. I mean, they're good players. I mean, all the guys are good players. But some of those guys got some money. Have they really earned that kind of money? I mean, you got a guy that hasn't had double-digit sacks and not being double teamed, and he gets $25 million a year.
Unbelievable.
I mean, I think you got some good players, but $25 a year? Has he really played to that level when, I mean, that's great. I don't blame him. Get your money and everything, but I couldn't see the Eagles. I mean, come on. Were they going to match that? I mean, with some of those guys, I could see where, I understand that some good young players and everything, but I could see why, they let them walk.
Yeah,
totally. They're not going to match that. And they figure, the guys are good players, but I think they look at some of the potential. Like if they look at Jalen Hunt, they're really interested in seeing Jalen Hunt more and more. Moro or Jomo, those two, and a Nolan Smith, man, it's exciting to see. I want to really see, where these guys are starting, how well they do. Now, Nolan Smith, with the way he finished last year, he got 4 sacks in the playoffs. I mean, when is a better time to be playing like that than in the playoffs? But Jalen Hunt and Moro Ojomo, man, and we'll see with Jordan Davis how well he keeps coming. But it's going to be exciting to see how they play. And you got the rookie Jahad, Campbell. I'm really interested in this defense, man. Really, as much as I love their offense with all the talent they got, the story is going to be their defense.
It's funny you mentioned that. That was going to go my next question.
Yeah.
Don't you think major roles and expanded roles?
Yeah.
You've got to get great play from Moro Ojomo this year and Jaylen Carter because you're replacing Josh Sweat and Milton Williams with those two players.
Correct.
Nolan is going to be kind of the guy who's going to be the weak side edge rusher, and you're going to have Jaylen Carter play that role of Josh Sweat. And Milton Williams, the role is going to be tried to be filled by Moro Ojomo. Ty Robinson's going to be in that conversation as well behind. Yeah. I mean, don't you think those two guys right there, of all the players that we've mentioned, and you just mentioned these two, they've got to have a real significant impact on this team this year, because if those two guys don't play well and they don't replace Milton and Josh, who's setting the edge?
Well, I mean, I agree. They do need to play well. Now, so far they've shown, I mean, they were in the Super Bowl. All those guys, they were active and making plays in the Super Bowl. They made plays throughout the playoffs. When they got in, they did, contribute. The thing is, are they ready to go in there and be the starters? Well, that's why they play the game. We're going to find out. I think there's a good chance they are, but we'll see how well they're willing to come on. I mean, the kid, Ty Robinson, I mean, he's is an athlete, big, athletic, active guy there in the middle.
Clint likes him. Clint likes him a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I want to see them because I think they could come in and take over. I think they could. I think that the Eagles are confident they can, but hey, that's why they play the game, man. This, the thing is, is when you're on a team that wins a Super Bowl, you can't come in and people aren't paying attention. No, everybody's paying attention. So these guys are in the spotlight. So they're not going to be when they start off the season where they're playing games where people aren't watching. The whole league is watching to see how good the Eagles are, with some of the other guys going, because they know if that defense is close to what they were last year, the rest of the league knows they got their work cut out.
Do you think it will be?
That's a lot to say, man. You know what? I think they are going to be a plus. I think we're going to be pleased with what they do.
You think they have enough depth?
That's hard for me to say that, man. When you're talking about, because now you're not only talking about Jaylen Carter and Moro Ojomo, you're talking about, kids behind them.
Remember, the guys we're talking about now, we're behind the starters.
I know.
You got to look at the dudes behind these guys now and go,
I know.
Do you think those guys are on the same level? And I don't.
That's a lot to ask. I would say right now, I feel good about Hunt and Ojomo that they're going to be good. Now the kids behind them, man, they're not to where they're going to be on the field, but so much. But I couldn't vouch for them yet. I mean, we're going to all find out at the same time,
Hey, I'm going to ask you one last one, Gary.
Yeah.
Help me out on this. Do you think the media in Philadelphia, and do you think you and me even, I mean, explain to me what everyone sees in Jeremiah Trotter. I don't see it. I haven't seen one where I look at him and go, well, I mean, last year he couldn't beat out Oren Burks. Do I think he's better than Oren Burks? I don't. I think Oren Burks is a good football player. He's now going to be a starter in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And get this, I'm rooting for him because he's Trotter's kid. I'm totally rooting for him. However, when I see him play, I think he's got decent fit. He's got good footwork.
Yeah.
I think he understands the position. He's never out of position. He doesn't make false steps. I got all that.
Yeah.
But are we really just hoping more for this than we're really looking at the player? Because I haven't seen anywhere. And by the way, to be fair to him, I haven't seen it where he sucks either. I mean, I haven't seen it either way. You know what I mean? So what do people see?
The things you mentioned, which is he's in the right place at the right time. But, I think that the jury's still out. We're going to find out, could he step in a situation, be a starter, and be in there with games on the line and be able to make plays, that we're going to find out. He's not the fastest linebacker in the league, So, with their defense, the way you do things, a lot of times, you're running, you look at the guy you're running on, and the guy's a wide receiver, or he's a running back who can run.
I'm not ripping the kid. I just don't know what I'm looking at yet.
But we're going to find out. But the thing I like about him is, a lot of the game is up here.
Okay.
And the kid is in the right place all the time. I look at him in practice. He's got a good feel for the game. And I think that's going to get him through. Now, does that mean he's going to be an all-pro like his dad? No, I'm not saying that.
I think that's why Vic likes him, is because he knows where to line up.
You could see he reads the play well. He doesn't get caught out of place looking at them out there in practice. You see he's where he's supposed to be. He kind of knows the play. He has a feel for the play because he's looking at stances and all that. Because his dad has taught him a lot probably, and has been in his ear. He's had, the advantage of having him there all the time.
Oh, yeah.
So he's a real smart football player. And I think that, in the game that now, if you are where you're supposed to be and you already know all those things, that's a big part of the game as a linebacker, especially when you're getting caught in situations where, man, it's not an easy job in covering in the pass game. Because a lot of times you look up and you're running after a wide receiver or, a tight end who can run and stuff.
Gary, just real quick here. The game's played in so much space.
Yes, it is.
That's
a linebacker. Yes.
An open field tackler today because
That's
the
right.
game is out in space. And if you're not a quick dude and you're not recognizing crossing routes and you're not recognizing these tight ends today, they're not Mark Bavaros anymore. These guys are these elite athletes now that play at that position that know they got wide receiver tendencies. I mean, it's a different league today because it's played in such wide open field.
And see, that's why I think in that way, Jeremiah Trotter Jr., the kid is always a couple steps ahead. I mean, he already has read what you're running. He's already up there on the screen. He's in the right position. So that's what he's got going for him, and a lot of that's the game. I mean, especially now with so much of the passing game, that's going to help him out. But, we'll see how he does because, if he were to all of a sudden look in and he's playing a starting job, he's starting and it's during the season, it's a game the whole league is looking at because the Eagles are going to be, a feature. So whenever he does play, he's going to be playing in the spotlight. Everybody's going to be watching, but I think he's up to it. I mean, and I think his smarts and his football savvy, I think that's going to get him through.
You got it. Gary, I appreciate your time, brother. Thank you so much. Make sure you check him out at Fox 29. Thank you, JAKIB. Appreciate you.
Hey, have a good one. All right.
You got it. Yeah, I'm not ripping the kid. I'm really not. You guys are talking to me about, and by the way, his career at Clemson, I thought his last year was okay. I thought his best year was his sophomore year. I thought his junior year was very up and down. I thought he didn't. And his senior year, that team got out to a very slow start defensively, and he was on it. And they got better as the season went on. I think they ended up winning 10 games when he was there. His best years were his early years. So, I mean, he knows the position. There's no doubt his dad has helped him. All right. Diamond Dallas Page is going to join us here in a couple minutes. So we're going to take a quick time out here. By the way, we appreciate everybody. I can't wait to talk to DDP and get his thoughts. Hey, don't forget our great friends at Morgan & Morgan with over $30 billion recovered when it comes to insurance companies trying to take advantage of clients across the country. That is why Morgan & Morgan is here for you. They will never allow any insurance company to take advantage of you. Like the family in Pennsylvania I told you about got $30 million in recovery, and initially they offered $650K. No way. A family down in Florida was given $12 million, initially offered $350,000. Morgan & Morgan, the reason they're number one is because they win. Plain and simple, they win. Go to forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. That's forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. And do me a favor, you tell them Big Sales sent you.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Your financial future is on the line. Are you ready for what's next? At Leone & Company Wealth Management, we help young professionals, business owners, and pre-retirees navigate the complexities of building and protecting wealth. For young professionals, we'll help you grow your wealth, plan for your future, and make the most of your hard-earned dollars. For business owners, we provide strategies to protect your company, manage risks, and create a lasting legacy for both your business and personal wealth. For pre-retirees, we'll design a plan to secure your retirement, ensuring you can live comfortably and confidently in your next chapter. Whether you're just starting out, managing a thriving business, or preparing for retirement, we're here to help you take control of your financial future. The first consultation is on us. Get the advice you need without the cost. Let's make your financial vision a reality. Take the next step. Scan the QR code to schedule your free consultation today. And of course, go Birds.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong as the #1 health insurer in the region. No IBX is always looking out for you.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sales, please hit the like button. DDP will join us here in a couple minutes. We'll get his thoughts. Again, we had a great interview with Bill Goldberg. Diamond Dallas Page is going to be with us here in a couple minutes. So if you can, guys, please do me a favor. Hit that like button. We're looking forward to talking to him. He's going to be here at the top of the hour. So the ratings came in for the NBA. Had a good Game 7, 16-point. I think it was 3.5 million people tuned in. That's still one of the lowest rated NBA games and finals in history. Why? Help me out on this. Help me out on this. So you know this load management. Joel Embiid has averaged 43 games a year. I thought this load management thing was supposed to protect the players. I thought it was supposed to make them healthier, right? They're not wanting to play back-to-back games. How do you sell that to fans? You buy a ticket to go to an NBA game and the stars don't show up because they want to take the night off because they're tired. You know why nobody watches the NBA? If the players don't respect the game in the regular season, why should the fans? Okay? Why? Why should I? doesn't make sense. Nobody watches that sport anymore. Plus, the coverage is terrible. Got somebody screaming at us there, talking to me. I mean, like, Stephen A., he's great on First Take. I'm not ripping the guy on that. The guy's awesome, but, I mean, end of the day, dude, got to have a better pregame guys. Funny, you just interviewed Goldberg, now DDP. It should have been DDP that ended TGE's streak at Hollywood Havoc. We're going to talk to him about all this. You know, he just got nominated, or just, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, WCW is having a historical year this year. They're going back in the history of WCW. I'm a WCW wrestler. I went up to the Power Factory, the Power Gym, and I was trained by Ole Anderson. And I was trained, Ole single-handedly trained me. And Cowboy Bob Orton signed me. Right after I got done playing, they brought me up to Atlanta. And Ole Anderson trained me. Ole Anderson's the guy that found the Road Warriors. And then those guys sent me over to Europe to wrestle at CWA with Otto Watts. And I spent a summer and a lot of time. My wife came over. She was my girlfriend at the time, but she came over. And we were in Vienna for a long time. You know, we went around all that area. We went Graz, Germany. I forget what the whole circuit was. But we wrestled every other night. And it was tough. Ken Patera was there. Road Warrior Hawk was there. We had a lot of guys that, and then I had a chance to go to New Japan and wrestle with Antonio Inoki. So I had a chance to do that. And, you know, my grandfather was really the guy that got me out of it. I don't know. Let me just say this to you. That's a tough-ass sport. That is a tough sport. You know, we had Goldberg on, and I was talking to Bill about it, and I'll say it again to you. You know, the training camps that I went through in the NFL were some of the toughest training camps. You know how hot it is in Philly right now? Okay, you know how hot it is? Well, dude, try doing that when you're in football and you're playing in the NFL or you're playing in college football. I mean, but when you wrestle, and you wrestle every other night, it's brutal. That's the toughest thing. Listen, the show, a lot of it, you guys know nowadays, but the stuff in the middle is real. I used to think it too. Well, the mats have to be soft, the ropes have. That's not what that is. Putting a show like that on and being a good worker like DDP is, Dallas Diamond Page is considered one of the greatest workers of all time. Here, Jack asked a question. Sills, got a book? If not, you should. Bro, Jack, I'm not allowed to write a book. Yeah, no, my wife wouldn't want that. That's not going to work. Not happening. Okay? Thank you, Philly. It was very hard. I went over there and I wrestled for the championship too. I mean, wrestling in Europe, that stuff is a big deal there. You know what? Get this. I'll give you guys a quick story before DDP comes on. Bro, we went over there and the Burgermeister, which is like the mayor of Austria, Vienna, and he invited us over there, and he invited a bunch of us wrestlers. A lot of us were NFL football players, college stars, what have you. So we go over there, and there's these soccer dudes. And these guys were really going to, play serious. So a bunch of the guys were like, no. You're not going to get into playing soccer with a bunch of wrestlers and think these guys aren't going to be physical. So I believe my wife was with us, and these guys beat the living piss out of these guys. I think they were local servants, like that worked in the Burgermeister's palace or the house or whatever it was. These guys, like I said, the mayor of Vienna. And we were beating like the head of like finance up. Oh my God. I mean, some of the food was great. We go by and it was really, it was pretty crazy. So after we clean up, we go in there. They got things like head cheese. My wife goes like this again. She was my girlfriend then. She goes, yeah, I don't eat that. And I'm like, okay. So it was pretty cool experience. We went a lot of places and we saw a lot of people. It was crazy. It was a really great experience for me to go over to Europe. I lived in Europe for like almost a year when I went over there. And once again, I'll tell you, I mean, when Road Warrior Hawk came over, that changed the game. The places were packed. I mean, 15 to 25,000 would be in the building when we wrestled every single night. We started in Graz, and this is in Austria, obviously. That's where Arnold Schwarzenegger's from, believe it or not. And you had a chance to wrestle there, and you know, it was a big venue. And then when we went to Vienna, it was an even bigger venue. It was down near like the beer gardens. So these people come rolling in there, and hey, I'll tell you, man, absolutely incredible. It was really, really, really a great experience. So again, I was telling Goldberg the same thing. You know, Bill came from the football end. And I remember asking him, we were up at the World Bowl, and he was telling me then, when he was playing for the Sacramento Surge, he's like, listen, I think I'm going to get into wrestling. There's a bunch of my friends down at WCW. WCW is based in Atlanta. And he obviously went to college, played college football in Georgia. And so, you know, he met Cowboy Bob too, and Bob pushed him through, and they trained him, did the same thing I did. And we got to run into people like Big Van Vader. We got to run into them guys. It was really crazy great. I'm going to tell you one more time before we get DDP on here. I'll tell you guys this. I was telling Goldberg last week, the wrestling that I did over in CWA was arguably some of the toughest stuff I ever was involved with. I had never hit a mat before. I had never, ever hit a rope before. And it was the toughest and most physical. I've been to, 8 training camps in the NFL. 8 training camps. But then when I got into wrestling, I have never been more beat up in my life than when I got into wrestling. And I want to see if DDP's ready to go now, or does he need a couple minutes to sit down and get ready to rock and roll? Give me a thumbs up, DDP. Are you ready to rock? He's ready to rock. All right. Well, bring our guy in. Here he is. I'm Dallas Page. How you doing, brother?
Trying. I'm almost there. I was going to go out of the porch with you, but it's so windy. But got a great view though, right?
Oh my God, that is phenomenal.
Yeah, we built the it's kind of like a boutique hotel, but it's called Page's Retreat, and we're going to do DDP yoga workshops and stuff down here at the Panama City Beach. Let's see, I want to go here. Okay, perfect. There we go.
Yeah.
All right, I'm good to go.
That's a great looking setup you got there, man. How long you been there?
Literally just moved in. Literally just moved in. Got to get this right here. Now I see. Okay, here we go. Now I'm set.
There you go. You look great, dog. You look great. I got to tell you, I sent you the interview. We had Goldberg last week, and
yeah, I saw it. It was good. You know,
he gave you great props, man. He said that when he got into the business, he said that you were really one of the first guys that kind of like took him under, you took him under your wing. You helped him grow in the sport. You helped him understand the sport. I mean, Bill and I crossed a lot of things off. We talked about his work ethic. We talked about how some guys didn't like working with him, but he gave you amazing props. I mean, I thought that was pretty good.
I met Goldberg. I met Billy at a place called the Gold Club, a gentleman's club, and it was me and Bischoff.
I only heard it's in Atlanta. That's all I know.
he was standing right next to me, and we just hit it off. Like, this is probably 4 years before he ever came in to WCW. And I even introduced him to Bischoff. I was like, this kid, I mean, I know when you're not, I know you love football. You're freaking, you know, I followed you as a Georgia dog, you know, back in the day. And I said, but when you're ready, bro, I said, let me know, because I'm here. Let me introduce you to the boss, you know. And I introduced him to Eric, and then years later, I think it was Sting and Lex brought him in. I think it was, and he, you know, he went down there because he came in with a pedigree, so he wasn't just somebody off the, you know, guy who just rolled in and decided because he had muscles, he was going to play, he was going to be a wrestler, and he wasn't a fan growing up. I think he talked about that, but he was a phenomenal athlete, and I would go down to the power plant, and it was towards the end of my time down at the power plant. I literally, if I wasn't on the road, I was in the power plant. I was the first to come. I was the last to leave. So I caught Billy just coming out there at a time, and I was like, and I saw he was coming in. I was like, I'll come down there and I'll work with you some, you know. And it really paid off when it was time to, you know, for us to finally work together, because he was at that time so green. I mean, he was, you know, he was in the business less than 14 months when we, you know, when he had you know, the title, and we were going for the Halloween Havoc. It's one of my favorite matches, and you know, he has really great memories of it too. So, you know, it was well worth the time spent. Let's put it like that.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you a story here, and I want you to kind of hook me up on this here, because I got signed by Cowboy Bob Orton, and I was trained by Ole Anderson, and I went down to the power plant. There was this blonde-haired kid who used to be in the ring. I can't remember who the kid's name was, and he was the guy that was in the ring there training us. And Vader came down there. I think it was. You sure it
was a Sarge? You sure it wasn't Sarge? He had short blonde hair.
I think it was. He was a shorter guy.
Oh, yeah, stocky. Like if he'd have been, like, he was about 5'7" ish, maybe 5'8", but if he'd have been like 5'11", you know, or 6 foot, that cat would have, you know, he'd been given the opportunity because he could work his ass off.
That
but he
Ultimate Warrior was in there with us during this crew. And I don't know
how I missed that.
I'll tell you this. Let me throw this at you here. I tell people this. I've been to 7 NFL training camps and through 7 NFL training camps. The toughest stuff I've ever done in my life is getting in the ring when I wrestled in Europe at CWA for Otto Watts and them guys.
Yeah.
And being trained at the power plant. I mean, dude, how's your body holding up now? I know we're going to talk about the yoga, but
yeah, well, that's what it comes down to, you know. But let's talk about all of that for a second. You know, when you were there, was Harold Hogue, aka Ice Train, there?
Yes, he was there. Yes.
Yeah, he just passed last year. He was one of my closest friends. I got him the gig. Yeah, I see this kid. He's got 25 legit inch arms, barrel chest, and just charisma for days. Ice Train. Later they called him Smooth, because in real life he was a smooth character, man, and he was a bigger than life personality, but he was so focused on being that I'm a tough guy wrestler. Just be you. And he got it after he was done with it. You know what I mean? Because he got over in Europe, and it was towards the end of it, he was starting to get it, but then they only give you so many tries, you know, you know, but what I was literally just talking about him right before we had this talk here. But he had all the talent in the world too. He could have really been somebody. It just he didn't, like Goldberg. Like, he got it. Like, he got that. He flipped that switch, and he just was Bill, amped to the gills, and that's what you want to be. Because, you know, every guy that you've ever seen, that you've ever looked up to, you know, from Diamond Dallas Page, you know, to friggin' Stone Cold Steve Austin, to The Rock, they are playing themselves amped up. Nobody can survive at that level like that all the time. Though some guys try and they burn out.
What do you make of you being named one of the 4 greatest workers? And I see why now, because you're so open. I'll tell you what people don't realize in here right now, not every wrestler is like DDP and opens up doors for you. That doesn't work like that. That's not how that business is. For you saying that the way you do, I think that's a tremendous honor that you were considered one of the 4 greatest workers in the history of wrestling, especially
not the history of wrestling, history of WCW, maybe. Yeah. Because there's a
WCW.
lot of guys who I know are much better than me, and and they're just to be part of the WWE Hall of Fame. I mean, that's a big deal. Dusty used to say to me, D, there's only 2 things that are real in this business. That first world title and that Hall of Fame ring. Because it's like our Oscar, So, along the way, getting the world championships, they're like our Oscars, our Intercontinental or United States champions, like an Emmy for us. It's like, you're drawing money, man. You're drawing ratings. People care, and some guys, they never get above that level. And it's not their fault. It's how the bookers see them. Like when I accepted my Hall of Fame entry in the WWE, it was one of the best things. It was the best, hands down, the best thing I ever did in the business. Wow. because it encompassed everything, and it's my only voice in my brain before I walk out there. The story I tell myself, the only story was, this is going to be the best thing I have ever done in professional wrestling. I'm going to blow everyone away. I'm going to make them laugh. I'm going to make them cry. I'm going to inspire them. And that's the beauty of being able to go out there and do it. And that's how I talk when I do corporate speeches or whatever. That's the same goal that I'm ever going into. But for that night, going in the Hall of Fame, it was a big deal. And Eric Bischoff, you couldn't have been teed up any better. And you're not supposed to go more than 15 minutes. And this happened the night before. And they assign you a writer. And mine was this guy named Foz. And Foz came up to me the night before, and he says, "So DDP, you want to get together and get a few notes down?" I went, "Foz, are you really telling me like you don't think this was written like 3 months ago?" Like, I've just been refining it, but it's been long. He goes, "So what do you got, about 12, 15 minutes?" I said, "Fuck no. I got like maybe 28, 29 minutes. He's like, "Oh, D, you got to get it down, blah, blah, blah." I was like, so that night I went back and reworked it. The next morning he calls me. He goes, "Can I come up and hear the speech?" And I said, "Well, I'm almost done with it." He goes, No, the first one you did." I said, "Yeah, come on up." And I pieced it back together for the first one. And man, because I put impressions into it, and behind the scenes stuff that nobody really knew, and then just stories and being grateful, and I had him laughing so hard. So he goes down, he goes to talk to Kevin Dunn, who's the boss at the time. He's the head guy under Vince, and he said, "I just talked to Kevin. Don't go over. You're number one. Don't go over 30. So that was cool.
What was your relationship, DDP, with Vince McMahon? Because
no, nothing. It was never. I was the enemy, and I never going in. That would have been preposterous to me. Because I'm a businessman. I was a businessman. I was a very successful nightclub business guy before I even got into wrestling. So I understand, and wrestling is a work, but if you're going to friggin' never get a break to get a win, I had made myself. And I didn't do it without the help of the Dusty Rhodes, who's my mentor and brother, Jake the Snake Roberts. Those are my two guys. But also Kevin Nash and Scott Hall. Like, those guys were brothers of mine. We were all at the bottom together. They were above me because I was just coming in as the manager at 35 years old. I mean, that's when I went full-time into wrestling, 35.
That's insane.
With no pedigree. But to have the being 35 and being in the business since I was 31 as a manager and color commentator, it helped me, but it also hurt me, because nobody wanted to sell for the manager. Nobody, so I had to really get in the gym and bulk up, and none of those guys knew me as far as, I'm playing a character if I'm playing a chicken shit heel. But if you're in my nightclub and you start some shit, I will be the first one over there, and I'll be talking to you. I will hopefully talk you out of it. But if you don't, you're gone. I don't give a fuck who you are, unless you're Dan Severin or something like that. You know what I mean? I'd really try just to talk. Which Dan would never do that because he's such a classy guy. But they didn't know, So starting at 35. I can't tell you how many times my body hit that mat that first couple of months. And I thought to myself, man, this fake stuff hurts like hell.
That's what I said.
So
I never in my life ever have been more hurt. And I tell people, look, the NFL was awful and hard, but I mean, wrestling, it totally finished me off. DDP, was there a signature match that turned it for you, where you went like this, all the things that you were just saying? Hey, 35 years old, I'm a guy sitting behind the mic, I'm more that dude. Was there one moment for you, though, when all of a sudden that led to you wearing that WWE Hall of Fame ring? Was there something that was there?
Well, this was the biggest thing. Without having this, meaning the diamond cutter sign that people could do, that they could get involved with, and they wouldn't let me beat anybody because the bookers, the guys who wrote the Who Won and Who Lost, they didn't believe in me. They didn't, especially now. In 1996, I was going to turn 40, and they don't see it. So they're not setting me up to fail, but they're not giving me shit. And the bottom line is, They did put me over in this thing called Lord of the Rings, which was too much like King of the Ring, so they had to scrap that idea. But I was the last one to actually do it. Only 3 people did it, and who won it was Sting, Dusty, and me. But when those 2 won it, it was all top guys. When I won it, Harold was one of the guys in it, Scott Norton, Barbarian, nothing but mid-level to lower mid-level card guys. So it's not like it's going to give you a boost. But, man, I just thought, you know what? They can't beat me right now. So because I've just had this deal, so they just can't start beating me again. And I just put together a campaign of whenever I freaking beat somebody with a diamond cutter, it was going to be a different diamond cutter. And if you watch the crowd from the mid-1996 to the end of 96, it gets bigger and bigger. I mean, not just the crowds, but the people who were throwing up the diamond cutter sign. And Eddie Guerrero and I wrestled Halloween Havoc 1996. And Eddie was supposed to go over in that match because I'd gotten him a couple of times and never really beat him, but always let them lay in or whatever. But when it came down to him getting his flowers there, he's supposed to go over, but he did that dive off the top rope down to me on the floor, and he, you bust those ribs, not break them, just tear that muscle, that white muscle where there's no blood. It's hard to breathe. And Teddy was such a tough son of a bitch, man. And he kept going. I never knew he was hurt until I go to pick him up, and we're about to do something. And he says, Diamond Cutter. I go, no, Eddie. He goes, Diamond Cutter, Diamond Cutter. And I knew he wasn't calling it to kick out when he's doing it like that. I went, okay. I took a step back and just hit him with it, rolled him over, 1, 2, 3. And that gave me a different level of credibility because Eddie was atop of the middle of the card. He never got his shot at where he belonged until he went to the WWE. And that brings it back to Vince. When Vince can create you, then you're golden. But if you've already been made somewhere else, he wants to strip you of that so that he could make, if he decided to make you, then if you got over, he owns your thing. So if you're called the Butcher, you can't be called the Butcher anywhere but the WWE. It makes sense, understandably, because it's his brand that made you, so you don't get to take his brand. And I appreciate that. But I made sure through my whole career, I owned my name, I owned my sign, and the Diamond Cutter. Wherever I was going, that no one's doing that but me. And when it came down to as far as that time period when I've won the Lord of the Rings, so I'm kind of like maybe not the bottom of the middle of the card, maybe I'm the middle of the card, but now they've got to give me wins. So for probably 7 weeks or so, I get to beat no one except a enhancement guy, a guy is going to lose. So what I did to get the reaction was I would go out there and I would watch Ric Flair do it. If Ric Flair wanted to make a Joey Maggs, who was a level above an enhancement guy, a great kid, everybody loved him. Flair especially loved him. I watched Flair go out there and do a 20-minute Broadway with him. Wow. He's an enhancement guy, Of course, figured at the end, Flair slips over whatever, but he gives him 20 minutes, and friggin', I can remember one of him getting, not yelled at. You don't yell at Ric Flair, but like, Rick, what are you doing? And Rick was doing what he wanted to do. He went out there and made him. So I learned lessons from guys like that going, wow, that's really smart. He can make that guy. And so I went out there and I would pretty much make whoever I was working with, I'd friggin' start off because I was the heel. I'd start out beating them down, then boom, I'd start, slip on a banana peel, then bing, bing, bing. And it looks like they got me. And boom, we go into a Diamond Cutter and the roof would blow off. And it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And when I first did that, nobody did it, right? And I couldn't understand it because somehow you get somebody to do it. It was 13 different times, 13 different matches, like whether it was in TV or off TV, and no one did it until I filmed every single match I ever had, Danny. So I've got the camera, this one particular house show where there's no cameras, I'm scanning and filming everything. And it goes through the crowd. And I threw it up and bang, I came right back down. And when I played it back, I thought it was like someone was sitting down. You could see it, a father and like a daughter starting to raise their hands, but I came down so fast, so did they. I thought, wait a minute. The next time I go out there on TV, I'm going to throw it up, 1001, 1002, 1003, bang. And the reason why I start to get pyro and explode off the stage. The first time I exploded off the stage, I tripped and I caught myself. So it looked like I was blown off. I thought, fuck, I'm going to keep doing that. So the people doing this put me in a spot. And Eric Bischoff and I were best friends, but he said it in my Hall of Fame. I'm about to put out an episode. I call it DDP's gauntlet. And it's not just a podcast and interview. We work out. You go through the gauntlet. You go through what I go through. And it's cold plunging and hypoxia training, like you're climbing mountains, but you're doing the bike and the backwards treadmill. And then we do DDP yoga. We do power cuffs. I hang you upside down with a yoga swing, all sorts of different shit. But it's little pieces of that. And Bischoff and I are doing one. It'll probably be out this week. And Bish, we started talking about, like, when you inducted me, you said that a lot of people think that, he gave me, things because we were buddies. He said nothing could be farther from the truth. He said Dallas had to work.
Yeah.
At least 2 times harder. I was thinking, I said to him on the show, I went, 5 times harder. Yeah. I had to work 5 times harder to get him to back me up.
You were never pushed.
Never. Until the NWO thing, which was my idea. Huh. I just had Kevin pass it because Kevin's like, I love it. Go tell Bishop. I go, I ain't telling Bishop shit. I want to tell Scott. And I was like, bro, I got to tell Scott because he's taking the diamond cutter. If he decides, he'll do it. And he goes, wait a minute. Do you not think he remembers when he couldn't get a job? Nobody would call him back in New York or Atlanta. And you got him in. You changed his look. His wife's pregnant with her fucking first son. You don't think he wants to pay you back? Go tell Bishop. I said, no, I'm going to tell Scott. I tell Scott, he goes, I love it. He goes, go tell Bishop. I go, I'm not telling Bishop anything. What was really cool about those days, that the WWE, as the boys, they didn't have this. We had this. TNT or TBS, if it started and it went from 8 to 11, if the show ended at 11 or 11:05 or 11:10, whenever it ended, it started all over again. For the West Coast. So we would go back to the bars, and that bar in the hotel, unless it was a fun town to be in, but if it was just a regular, Des Moines, Iowa or something, we're going to the hotel bar. And we're going to, we drink and eat and watch the show back and talk about it. And that's when Kevin pitched the whole NWO. I turned on the NWO.
That is a fabulous story there. Let me ask you, I heard Cody Rhodes talk about you and the impact that you've had in his career. Why was that important for you to be such an influence with him?
Well, originally I started to do it because what Dusty did for me. I mean, like, I can't even tell you a tenth of the stories in that 2-hour friggin' podcast of the times I had with Dusty, but he man, I could call him at any time, and sometimes he would always call me back. And I'm talking about from the back in the Florida Championship Wrestling days when I'm making $50 to be a color commentator and manager, and working with Dream back then. And then he brought me into WCW, and he was there for me on a lot of points where no one believed. Jake was too, and in the beginning, I did it because of Dusty. And after about a year, I was doing it because of Cody. Because everything that he's living, like the people who are just watching now and over these last couple of years and becoming Cody fans, they don't know, like, the real history of, like, where he started with WWF or WWE, and that he was a mid-card guy. He was never going to get past the mid-card. And I tell people all the time, the people who say I believe it when I see it, they never see shit. But the people who say I believe it because I see it, Cody Rhodes saw it. He saw him in the main event spot. He saw him being one of the biggest stars in the fucking world. And if you go back to him as a kid, and I'll tell you a story about it. I'm getting ready to go WWE. And like I said, Vince just wanted to beat me down. And not me. Whoever the first WCW guy, if it wasn't me, it would have been Booker. Okay? If it wasn't me. It would have been Book, and Book would have still outlasted it because he was so much younger. He was 15 years younger than me, and I'm getting ready to get in the ring at Dusty's Turnbuckle Entertainment, and Cody gets out of the ring, and he's just in there, screwing around a little bit. He's 14 at the time, and I always called him Young Buck back then, which is kind of crazy considering his biggest shine ever was with the Young Bucks. Yeah. That's what really started that snowball. And those guys were over insanely at that time, especially in those markets that they were in. And I said to him, Young Buck, when are you going to start football? Because his dad would always coach the football team, and he loved football. And he said, I decided I'm not gonna play football this year. I'm like, what? You love football? He goes, yeah. He goes, but you know what? I'm a sophomore this year, and I don't think I'd really be able to make any kind of impact in football, but I think I can in wrestling. I've already set my goal. Not this year, but next year, I'm going to be state champion. I went, wow, really? Okay, great. That's going to take. He goes, of course. He understood work ethic at a different level very early on. And over that period, man, that kid would get up at 4:30 in the morning, eat breakfast, and be down and running on the track and doing all his drills and all that stuff like you hear, like, God, I can't think of his name right now. Friggin', it's so ridiculous. Kobe Bryant. Could have got black out there. Kobe was the most insane, like Tom Brady, insane work ethic, like guys to think that they show up in LA, they think, well, I hear he's got a tough work ethic, but we'll see, because I'm going to be there at 7 o'clock and practices until 11, and they get there, and he's got ice on his knees because he got there at 5, and that's the way Cody was. And he worked so hard. And at some point, I'm living in LA at the time because I'm done wrestling by that next year, and he's on a roll, like 11-0. And I call him, and he's 20-0, and he's 30-0. And he said, I call him up, and I'm like, hey, Young Buck, man. I already know he's still undefeated, but I always just play it down a little bit, like his old man would do. And he said, oh, Dallas, you just don't know. I just had the journal, the paper was out here doing a big story of me and Dad. Instant eyewitness news. Oh, it's so amazing, man. You just don't know. And I went, I think I have an idea. I think I had a couple world championships. Oh, Dad, I don't mean it like that. He was always such a polite kid, And I said, hey, I've already busted your chops. I said, listen, if you end up in the States, if you end up in the finals, I'll be there. He goes, you'll come in from LA? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And I went there, watched him go 48-0. Now, wow. Here's the best part of that story. The next year, my buddy Marlon tells me that did you hear Cody lost? I went, really? So I call him up. I go, hey, Young Buck, what's up, buddy? He goes, Dallas, I lost. I fucking lost. I said, thank God. And he said, what? Why would you say that? I said, Coach, do you think you learned anything from winning? You don't, bro.
Great.
You learn from losing. Absolutely. You learn from falling down. You learn from making mistakes. That's how you can't be afraid to fail. I said, what did you learn? So we talked about that. But what it would really turn out that would really be his secret weapon. At some point, he realized that these kids he's facing, that they know they can't beat him, so they're not trying to beat him. What they're trying to do is not get pinned.
Right.
So once he realized that, he'd let him up, and he'd take him down, and he'd let him up, and he'd take him down. And he let him up, and then eventually the other guy's gassed. He ain't gassed, but the other guy is, and most of them got pinned.
But these are great. I mean, to be able to lean on guys like your dad or his dad and you and other people that were in the business, that success, like you said, man, I mean, that's something people think that there's a yellow brick road for it. There's not. You have to go you have to go through the failures, man. People learn more from failure than they do from success. You're so right. I got to ask you a couple more questions.
Well, let me just finish that, because here's the beautiful thing. I go there for his second, state championship. He's facing the kid who beat him, who is 47-0. Cody's 46-1. And when he saw me up in the stand, Dad, get Dallas down here. At the ringside, there's 5 chairs for the family members for who's ever in the state championship. And Grandpa had to get up, and I went down there, and I watched him just control that kid. I felt bad for him. He made a mistake by beating him.
I love that. Here, I'm going to get to the yoga here in a second, but you mentioned something, Eric Bischoff, which completely is one of the greatest, bookers and one of the greatest architects at putting matches on here. And let me ask you this: how do you think Triple H is doing with the sport right now, and how do you think where the WWE is right now when it comes to these guys? Because help me out here. Maybe I'm old man, get off my lawn. It just seems like guys like you, Cactus Jack, and some of the greatest workers, Bret Hart, whomever you want to name, there was a different approach to it now. And again, I'm not taking anything away from these guys. They look like great athletes. But I don't know. I mean, the shows just don't look the same as they did when you were in the matches.
It's different. It's different, but I'm going to tell you, they've created their own thing.
I guess it's like me talking about when I played in the 90s in the NFL to what you're looking at today in the NFL, because, you don't have the contact that you had back when we played.
But a better example would be the NBA. Look at the NBA. And friggin', these guys aren't playing the same game that friggin' Jordan was playing against the Detroit Pistons, right? They're the same game. But you know what, though? These kids are so good. Yes. I mean, they aren't just the purest shooters. So many, that's one of the best NBA series. It's one of the best ever when it comes to competition. There's a couple blowouts, but I mean. And Indiana they could have been down 18 and okay, how much time is there? Is there 2 minutes left? Okay, then they're fucked. But if there's 7 minutes left, not necessarily. And then for Halliburton to get hurt. So it's a different game. And that's what it is in wrestling right now. These kids, to me, as far as athletes are concerned, blow us the fuck away. Yeah. I mean, that's where there's no even competition, because there used to be one back then, a guy named Rey Mysterio or Eddie Guerrero or Shawn Michaels. These guys were insane. Those guys would shine in every, it wouldn't matter where they were. But my point is that those names right there, if Rey Mysterio would have been a gymnast, he'd been a gold medal gymnast. Amazing. So, and Eddie Guerrero too, same thing. But they chose wrestling instead. Today, there's 2 matches that go on, and I think they mix completely beautifully when you finally get to the main events. There's the old school match where you get to see some story and heel and blah blah blah, and then there's what I call the video game match, where it's one bump into another bump into another bump into another bump, and the people love that, though. When they chant "This is awesome," that's what they're watching, because pretty much take the guys from 50 and up out, and everybody who's 49 and under, they play video games, or they have at one time or another. So the fact that these
GDP, it just looks cookie cutter to me. I mean,
everybody has their own friggin' view on it. But for me personally, like I look at like these fuckers are unbelievable. And there are people who are out there who are, as we would say, and Roman Reigns would be like the king of this. He's reality based.
Oh yeah,
like Jake the Snake Roberts, Diamond Dallas Page, Stone Cold Steve Austin, guys like that are reality based characters. I wouldn't do that because that doesn't make any sense to me. But these guys, like Cody, is the first. And when I say white meat, I mean like chicken, I just put white meat. But he's one of the very few like white meat babyface. John Cena was until, and I'm sure I've heard a few of those interviews. John pretty much shooting on that shit, and he carried that company on his back for over 12 years, and I could never understand Cena sucks. Let's go Cena, I get that, but Cena sucks. I'm thinking, what the fuck are you looking at, man? Not only can that guy work good enough, he's believable as hell, and he's one of the best promo artists ever.
Absolutely.
Like, ever. So I never understood that.
What do you think of the way Triple H puts the matches on?
I love it. I love it because he knows how to go with the times. He's helping to create. You have to understand, Triple H is one of the first, like, bookers, like the lead guy that was friggin' top talent besides Dusty Rhodes.
That's right.
And he takes a lot of Dusty stuff with him. Like, I can remember when Dream, and he told me, I want to say it was Stargate, but it was a big Stargate, the original Stargate. Like, he had all his book and all his notes, and he signed it and gave it Triple H. Like, that was a big deal, man. Him and Triple H were very close. Very close.
I did not know that there. I mean, hey, I got to ask you two last questions here. Okay, so Goldberg is going with Gunther, and I guess some people are giving people shit about him just all of a sudden fighting for the championship. And this is what he said, and I want to get your take on this. He said this to me, and I happen to agree. Guys like yourself and guys that have established and have the equity in the sport, he goes like this, bro, I don't have to fucking wait in line. I don't have to wait in line. I spent my whole backside on my back waiting in line. I'm going to get shot to the front here, and I don't give a crap what people are saying here. I don't care what Bully says. But you don't like it? That's tough shit, man. I'm going right to the front.
I think that Bill was a phenom. I mean, the way he came in, if it was the Ultimate Warrior, who literally couldn't work a lick next to Bill. I mean, Bill could work 10 times better than Warrior could. Warrior would go right to the front of the class. And I thought it was a bold move for the world title because, wow, because now you don't know what's going to happen. Because for the business, normally you would say, well, Bill's going to put freaking Gunther over because he should.
Yeah.
But maybe we're in Atlanta. Do you really beat the biggest babyface in Atlanta besides Cody Rhodes? Do you do that? I don't know. But now you don't know. And that's when the shit works. Like the shit between Rock and Cody, like that shit's reality based. And that's why it works so well, because I'll give you the best example. When a guy named, I can't remember his name, I always go back to, God, let's see, Adi, what's the main guy from TKO? Ari Gold. I know they're tough because the guy who used to play him, Jeremy Pippen, he was playing Ari Gold's spot for that Entourage show, which I love Entourage. So that's Ari Gold is the man. Okay, he's the man. Like the two of the biggest, Endeavor and William Morris, from what I understand, owns both of that, plus UFC, now WWE. Who do you think he wants to go against Roman coming in? Oh, how about the biggest star in the world? Who's one of us? The Rock. Like, if I was right there, we'd code through that whole thing, man. And all I could tell him was breathe. Just breathe. Because let's see what happens. Because they already beat you the first time. I think there would be a riot if they beat you the second. But there's only one person that could have saw that. And that's The Rock. Yeah. And then he's got to tell Ari that, you know what, listen to the people. Let me just go something nobody sees going on and go completely the other way and turn heel, which I heard The Rock talk about his mom was upset with. Because, his mom's been in the business the whole time, forever, But it was a brilliant move by The Rock and Triple H, because those are the two guys that made that happen. But The Rock taking a back seat for later and coming back, that was brilliant. Because you can do it anytime, Rock. You're always going to be. And when he wants to flip baby face, it'll be that fast. It'll be that fast. And just because he wants to. So I think the booking, first of all, I've been to some of the shows, and man, I have a good time every time I go. I feel totally different. For the first time ever, I don't feel like an outsider there. Because it don't matter. You're in the club, but in the Hall of Fame, but you still you didn't get made here. So there'll always be that. But they treat me, man. Nick Khan walked up to me. I was with my wife watching the show out with the people, but not into the crowd yet, because I wanted to go up and watch it. They have seats up there for legends up there to go, who will do it? And I love to go. I want to be a part of just seeing feel it, like who's over. And Nick Khan, what a classy cat, man. He walked up to me and put out his hand. He goes, what an amazing, great speech last night for Lex, right? We had a few things back and forth, but what a classy guy. And whenever I have a chance to talk Triple H, so we go back to the power plant. When I found out I was going in, he's the one who told me, and
I loved it. I'm pressed for time a little bit here, DDP, but I do want to ask you two last ones. Lex Luger, you put him in the Hall. How important was that to you to put him in the Hall? Now, Lex is a friend of mine because he went to the University of Miami. He played college football down there too, and became a huge star at WCW. And for you, how big was that for you, putting him in the Hall of Fame?
It was amazing. And I'll tell you, Lex, he never saw him going himself in the Hall of Fame.
Dude, he's been
until the last couple of years. And people see, this is a real, Christian in every sense of the word that you think they're supposed to be, because everybody's got their own deals or whatever religion. Lex, when I say walks the talk of a born-again Christian, I mean, and never forces on anybody. He's just, and I said it, he's one of the best human beings I've ever known. Now, the other Lex, who I love too, he not so much. And he'll be the first to tell you that. It's not like I'm saying something that he won't say, But he had said to me at Sting's last match that now they got the game, got me back in the game, and they got me my action figure, and who knows, maybe not this year, of course, but maybe next year or the year after, then maybe they put me in. Well, wouldn't it be amazing if when I get there, I could walk, get up, and I saw what you did with Butterbean. Would you help me? I'm like, dude, I've been waiting for you to say this. I've been waiting a long time for you to say it. Because I was there today he got paralyzed. And that's too long a story to tell right now, but I was there the day it happened. I was only there to do a signing in San Francisco because I had to see it for myself. Because Eric Watts, one of my closest friends, who hated Luger, their entire career, hated him, wanted to beat his ass, and waited for him a couple of times. Lex wasn't aware of it, but Eric was laying for him. Later would tell me, like years ago, 17 years ago, that Lex is really a born again. He is a Christian in every sense of the word. I'm like, what are you talking about? You hate Lex. He goes, well, not anymore. Actually, we're living together. I went, what? You live with Lex? And I got to see this. So that's why I took the gig in San Francisco to do the signing, because I wanted to see Lex. And when I saw him, when I finally got the call, because the promoter knew I wanted to, he said he had a heart attack or something. The EMTs were with him. They had to break down his door. I'm walking through the door and it's broken down. Like, that's where we go back on this whole story. And Lex would have walked at least 10 to 15 feet to the stage, to the podium, except when the guy from the Uber came around with the chair. He didn't hold on to the chair as Lex went to sit down. And he goes down and boom, he took a bump, and it completely fucked him up that he could even stand up. Now he's back to, he's doing really good. He's not walking yet, but he's doing really good again. And, we get together at least once a month. He comes to, my place here and stays for a couple days, and then he leaves and comes back, and then he'll come back next month,
That's a phenomenal story.
So it was huge. It was huge.
How about this? Tell me about the yoga I see other people now from the wrestling business getting involved in it. You were like the first guy to do it. I mean, I've told people,
but I've done my own. My yoga ain't your mama's yoga. It's friggin', it literally is yoga meets rehab, meets old school calisthenics done with a slow burn movement. Because it all came off of me breaking my back and being told my career was over before there was any world championships or any of that. And I was told I was done. And I just signed a multi-million-dollar 3-year deal. So if I can't get back in the ring, just like the NFL, you lose that contract.
Oh yeah, you're done.
Right. So that's the same way with us. So I had to get in, and that's where DDP Yoga comes from. And it was my first wife, who is now the COO of my company. We're super tight. My wife number 3, who's the love of my life, Paige, whose maiden name is McMahon, is no relation. Kimberly got me doing it, and I was shocked on how much it helped, but it wasn't giving me everything. So then that's where the rehab comes in. That's where the old school calisthenics come in. That's where all the stuff that makes it different. And when Jericho did it, and this is 15 years ago, and he was told he was never going to wrestle again, and he had to get a fusion. And I called him because Shawn Michaels told me he was hurt, but he's keeping it under the radar. You should call him. I called him first time ever. He answered a phone call I made. And he said, I was going to call you. I said, you're so full of shit. He goes, no, seriously. And so I sent him the disabled veteran I helped, that video. He called me back 5 minutes later. I'll do whatever you tell me to do. You tell me what to do, I'll do it. And all I know is Chris went from looking at like his career was over to 3 months or 4 months later, he headlined WrestleMania with CM Punk. And I just watched him in some match. I can't remember who it was. I think it was like Ospreay. It was crazy the bumps those guys were taking. He's still working at a fever pitch level, and he's about 54 now. I
got to come clean with you on something too. I told you that I wanted to do this. I go, but DDP, I got issues in my hips. I mean, I'm walking with a limp a little bit. Okay. I mean, I have not stretched in about 100,000 years.
Stretching is just a piece of it. I stretched my
gotta
whole
tell you,
career.
I'm not in the best shape right now. Okay. And I'm talking about, I know the weight, I have to lose it a little bit, but
A little bit? What are you weighing?
Oh man, I wouldn't even tell you.
Truth. Come on. We're going to be honest. You're going to show shit out there?
380.
Wow. Dude, you need a whole lifestyle change. And this is something I will give you and smarten you up to and show you how to do it. The very first thing that comes up on my app is the list. If you do everything on the list, you're not going to just change your life. You're going to start to own your life, which is going to build the confidence back that you had when you're younger. I mean, Jake used to talk about it all the time, but here's the deal, and I'm going to leave you with this. This is how my mind works. There's a part of the brain that's called the AMCC, and it's the anterior mid cingulate cortex. It's the only top spot in your brain that's like a muscle, and it will grow and it will shrink. And every time you say, I'm going to do that, and then you don't, it's a little bit smaller. Oh, yeah, I'll be there, and I'm going to start tomorrow, and you don't, and it gets a little smaller, and you lose more confidence. You freaking start to think you're worthless, and your self-worth continues to plummet. But every time you do what you know you need to do, when you need to do it, and here's where it grows or shrinks, whether you feel like doing it or not, that's where it grows. And just showing up. I heard Joe Rogan say, just showing up some days can change everything. Absolutely. And that's where it grows. So you got my number. Here's what you do. I'll hook up, but we're going to do like a 30-day thing with you, and you're going to put yourself, way out there. And the first thing, you got to do the list, and then we'll talk. I'll set you up on the app, but you got to do the whole list, and we'll see how long that takes. And some of it you've seen, most of it you haven't.
What's the app? So everyone knows.
ddpyoga.com. It's always 7 days free, so you can see it and you can explore, because it's not just workouts. And no one can tell me you can't do it, because my workouts start off in bed. Like, you can't get out of bed? I got like 10 workouts for you to help you strengthen your body and get mobility back. And then you can work out in the chair. And they're called chair force. And there's like 20 of those. And then there's stand strong, where you hold on to a chair. And you know what the chair does? It brings back balance. It brings back strength. It brings back mobility. There's a guy named Mike Evans who his father's son played in the NFL. And Mike played back in 72. There was a picture of him playing center across from Butkus that he had sent me. And he played in the NFL for 5 years. And him and his son came down and worked with me. And he did not want to use a chair. But I made him use the chair to show him how much it would help him. And I think it was like 3 months later. And he said, DDPY news flash. Mike Evans wiped his ass for the first time in 3 years. I love it. It's all those little things that are the big things. Absolutely. And you at 3'8", how old are you now?
I'm 60.
Yeah, dude. You're ready for a ride down a hill that you're not even going to know how to control. If you don't take care of it now, because between 60 and 65, I'm 69. And man, I just fell down the stairs. It was dark, and I was talking to my buddy. I wasn't paying attention. And I went to grab the railing, and the railing wasn't there because I was and I went down. You saw what I did from the 3 days after that, and it's still not right. I'm about 75%, but the shit that I can still do because I keep doing it. I live it. I own it. The food you eat is shit. That's why you're 380. I don't eat shit. Yeah. I can eat chocolate chip cookies, but I'm going to eat the Trader Joe's gluten-free, which are the best chocolate chip cookies I've ever eaten. I'm going to eat ice cream, but I'm going to eat keto chocolate-covered pops. Unbelievable. I'm going to eat meat. I'm going to friggin' have potatoes, but they're going to be sweet potatoes. I'm going to eat real food that God created, that's organic and non-GMO. So again, all that shit, there's a whole cooking section on my app that's 3 different eating plans. Like, you want to start level 1, 2, or 3, like whatever you want to do. Recipes, like we make it for you. So my daughter.
I'm going to reach out to you, brother. This has been a great conversation, man. I can't wait to post this stuff here, man. You are absolutely a friend, and I can't thank you enough. We had a great conversation. I hope we can do this again. God bless you, brother.
We can if you do the list.
No,
and from that day, it'll be 30 days later.
Okay. I'm gonna go on that app as soon as I get off here with you. Hey, Dallas, thank you so much, man. I appreciate your love, man. And I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna call you. I'm gonna do the list, and I'll call you back, and we'll redo this again. Thank you so much, brother.
All right, brother. Have a great one. See ya.
You got it. That's my friend there. Absolutely fantastic stuff. That's really great. Great. By the way, I think a little bit too much. It's more like 340. Okay, it's more 340. I'm in the room there at 340, not 380. About 335. Okay. Well, my wife probably thinks she's listening. She's probably laughing with me saying that. I'm not 380. I'm not. I realize what I said, and I'm like, no, I'm not that big. I don't know if I've ever been that big. Anyway, great stuff. I mean, we're working on Roman Reigns too. How about that? That's going to be on Thursday, I believe. Guys, thank you so much. Appreciate all the supers. We will see you tomorrow. We bring you the best guests in the country for a reason, because we have the best audience. 2 to 6 tomorrow. We'll see you on the flip side.